Radio college football Saturday morning kickoff show. It is Saturday, October 2nd. Ian Cameron, Conor Mac, DJ Big Boss, and Big Ragoo should be along with us momentarily as well. We're looking forward to another huge Saturday here in college football and looking forward to it. Let's get after it. We'll start with, as always, in order of start time as well as in rotation order. And so the first game we'll look at, Duke and North Carolina, the old Tobacco Road rivalry, the football version. Maybe not what the basketball version is, but it's still Duke, North Carolina. Nevertheless, North Carolina 19.5 point home favorites, 72.5 the total in this game. North Carolina trying to pick themselves up off the mat after just an absolute debacle last week for them against Georgia Tech. Just a terrible performance by their part. Just not only losing the game as 14-point favorites, but blown off the field, 45-22. Now, they were only outgained by 25 yards. There were a lot of issues with with North Carolina in that game. They couldn't finish drives, but their defense getting ripped apart by a returning Jeff Sims at quarterback for Georgia Tech in that game. They still put up some points, not as much as you would expect, but definitely a poor performance from this North Carolina team. They got off to a bad start in the first half and never really rebounded from there. We'll see how they fare here against Duke. The one thing that North Carolina has been able to do is pretty much dominate Duke. In recent years, they've won 3 straight. They've covered 3 straight. Last year, they handed it to Duke, 56-24. They're very capable of doing that again because I don't think Duke's a whole lot better than they were last year. But at the same time, I'm not ready to lay 19.5 in a rivalry game. And for North Carolina, is motivation an issue? You know, that's 2 conference losses already, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. You thought you could win the ACC championship. You thought you could win the division. Maybe you still can. But now it's going to be a lot more difficult here with 2 losses on the schedule. I'm not ready to rush out there in a game like this, in a spot like this after 2 losses already and a bad one last week to lay 19.5 with this team, which got issues on defense. The problem is Duke, when you look at this team, I don't like them a whole lot defensively, and they haven't faced anybody defensively to the level of North Carolina. Charlotte, 31 points, gave up over 400 yards. Kansas last week, 33 points they gave up in that game and almost 400 yards. So I think Duke's going to get ripped apart defensively by this North Carolina team. More than anything, the over is probably in play. It's high. It's in the low 70s, but it's gone up, and it's gone up for a reason. I could see this being kind of like last year. It was 56-24. Game went over the total, 80 points. I think we could get 80 points here. I think North Carolina is good to hang 50 on this Duke team, and I think Duke's probably good enough and North Carolina's suspect enough defensively to get a few points. So I like the over more than anything here. Connor, what do you think, Duke UNC?
I'll be quick. This was a quick pass. We got tons of games. Yeah, North Carolina looked horrible last week. Man, they couldn't get it done. Just like we talked about, kind of the frauds that they are. No defense. But Duke's not very good. You're right. North Carolina probably will hang 45 or 50. But I don't want to lay 3 touchdowns with a bad North Carolina team. Someone else can, and I don't want Duke either. This game was right off. A few of these real quick. There's a ton of games today that I like, but not that one.
All right, DJ Big Boss, what do you think here?
Well, I talked about North Carolina before on the show and also mentioned Duke being so sporadic. You never know what you're going to get out of them. But I'm definitely not on that North Carolina train. Laying 19 points is ridiculous. You don't know. This guy, Sam Howell, seems to be a bust. North Carolina might be going in the wrong way. So I'm leaving that one all the way alone. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to leave all ACC games all the way alone. The whole conference is a mess. So it'll be a hard pass for me too.
Yeah, it is. The ringleader of the conference, ACC, Clemson, has obviously looked bad. So you're right. This conference definitely has some issues. There's no question. All right, we move on now to Minnesota, Purdue. Big Ten action. Early start here in West Lafayette. We've got Purdue 2-point road home favorites, 46.5, 47 the total. Purdue's offense is just not good this year. It's shocking because that's the one thing usually you can rely on with a team coached by Jeff Brom is a good offense, but it just hasn't had. He's had issues all year on the offensive side. It hasn't obviously helped that David Bell's had a concussion and missed the last 2 games. He's their best playmaker on offense, clearly their best receiver. But what's the excuse? 13 against Notre Dame, even against Illinois last week, they don't cover, they win, but 13-9. And the offense just really struggles against that Illinois defense. And it doesn't matter whether it's been Jack Plummer, Aiden O'Connell. Brom's gone back and forth with those two guys. They just haven't put up big numbers. They haven't moved the football consistently. And I think they lack some playmakers. The O-line's been a little shaky. The good news for Purdue is their defense has been really good. And, as for Minnesota, where are their heads? After just an embarrassing loss last week, 31-point favorites, Bowling Green, not even a good MAC team, bottom feeder MAC team, or at least a bottom half of the MAC team, Bowling Green, and they go to Minnesota and they beat Minnesota outright 14-10. What's the excuse for only 10 points at home against Bowling Green? I mean, my goodness, 59 passing yards for Tanner Morgan, 5 of 13, no touchdowns and 2 interceptions for a senior quarterback against Bowling Green's defense. Now, Bowling Green's defense is better, but there's no way you should have those kind of numbers at home against a bottom feeder MAC team at home. But that's what happened with Tanner Morgan. They are a good defense, Bowling Green. I agree. I mean, they actually did well in their opener against Tennessee, but it's still a shoddy, terrible defeat, terrible performance for Minnesota. I'm not ready to trust them going on the road. Am I in love with laying with Purdue, though, and their struggling offense? No. So that leaves me looking at the under here in this game, 46.5, 47. I think this is probably a lower scoring game. What do you think, C-Mac, Minnesota, Purdue?
Yeah, I agree with you. The under's gotten pounded, though. I don't know. I think there might be a little bit of room here. Tanner Morgan, you talked about it. What a bad game last week against Bowling Green. We'll get into them. I think they will have some value in their game today. But two teams I don't want to mess with. Purdue, last week I had Illinois, and that game was ugly. They had a tough time scoring like you talked about. This one should be a slugfest. And who knows, can they get right with Plummer? I think he's a quarterback, but they're going back and forth. Kind of a Big Ten ugly one. But just I think the points has gotten hammered a little bit too much. But I'd only lead under the 46, 45, whatever it's at right now, which is 46.5.
Yeah, we're having by the way, Big Ragoo's having Twitter issues, so that's why he's late. But we're going to send him the link to his email, and he'll be joining us in a few minutes. So good stuff.
Okay.
All right, DJ, Big Boss, what do you think here? Minnesota, Purdue.
This is an interesting game right here because both these teams, I think, kind of like meet at the same level. They're about the same level. Minnesota may have a slight edge, just being a little more aggressive this year. But as far as like skill set, what they do on the field and everything, they're probably the same. So in these situations, it's like 2 positives equals a negative. Like these teams match up well on paper just to be an under game. But it's kind of a short price considering that it's conference play and it's that time of the year. So this thing can go over right here. I would lean over, but it'd be an exciting game to watch to see what the middle and lower tiers are going to be going like in the Big Ten.
Yeah, Fat Wally, that's a good point. Yeah, Oklahoma and Texas today, maybe they sleepwalk because of the fact that they play each other next week. That's something to keep in mind. Look ahead to a big game next week. But we'll see. It's funny you mentioned Oklahoma and Texas. I like one of those teams. I don't like one of those teams of those two, and we'll talk about them later. We got our guy Big Ragoo. He's healthy. He's back. Don't worry.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, good morning, guys.
Who the hell hacks DJ Big Ragoo's Twitter? Who the hell?
Somebody hacked me this morning, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hit the computer button and I can't get in. But anyways, we're all set. Sorry about the delay, guys.
Good to have you with us. Good to have you back. Did you like anything here, Minnesota and Purdue?
Minnesota, Purdue. No, I'm off of that one. I'm on to the next one, though.
And the next one, I know you're on this one because I've seen it already. Pittsburgh and Georgia Tech. We've got Pitt, 3-point road favorites, 58 the total in this one. We're kind of on different sides here with Big Ragoo, though. I mean, I've been higher on Pitt than everybody this year, and I've said that before. In years past. Now, it does concern me they can't run the football, and that's usually a staple of this team under Pat Narduzzi. They're not doing that right now. That's actually been mostly a pass-heavy offense under Kenny Pickett. But, what I like about Kenny Pickett is he's shown already this year, especially on the road, he's capable of playing well, leading his team to victory. Now, can he do it against Georgia Tech is the question. And, look, Georgia Tech's been impressive. What else can you say? I mean, the last 2 games, they hang tough start to finish at Clemson. A couple weeks ago, they beat up North Carolina shockingly as 2 touchdown underdogs. They don't need the points. Hell, they win 45-22 last week. They got Jeff Sims back at quarterback after Jordan Yates had taken over. So there's a lot to like for Georgia Tech. But, you look at this spot, and that's the thing that concerns me. I don't think it's a terrible matchup for Georgia Tech because you look at it, Pitt's really had to rely heavily on throwing the football this year, and they've done that very well. They're only mediocre running the football, and Georgia Tech's secondary's been good. So you look at it matchup-wise, there's things to like with Georgia Tech, but two huge games in a row, right? The Clemson game on the road, the huge upset against North Carolina. Is there a chance you'd maybe fall off and bounce a little bit here in this spot coming into this game against Pitt? That's the question. Pitt, we know, is a little flaky, of course, because they lost at home to Western Michigan a couple weeks ago. So I still lean Pitt here. I like the over, especially in this game. Pitt games have gone over the total every game so far this year. Georgia Tech's offense is better with Sims back. We saw that last week. And Pitt's running a little bit more up-tempo, and they're throwing the ball a lot because they really can't run the football, and that definitely helps you if you like the over. Pitt games, by the way, 4-0 to the over this year, and they've gone over the total by almost an average of 20 points. So these aren't just games going over the total with Pitt. They're clearing the over with room to spare. So I like the over. I lean Pitt. That's the way I would go. Conor Mac, what do you think? Pitt, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think the total was a little bit light. I mean, they're giving up 41, Pitt to Tennessee, 44 in the loss to Western Michigan. You think of Pittsburgh, you think of defense, but no, they're throwing the ball out with Pickett. I got to be on Georgia Tech. That was a late game ad that I added last week. I just kept looking at it and going, wow, North Carolina shouldn't be favored by 2 touchdowns. Sims is back. As long as everyone remembers week 1, right? Against Northern Illinois, that whole blow up. But he's back. Don't turn the ball over. I think their defense is pretty good. I don't think you need the points. I think they win it outright, and I'm with you. This is over as well.
Right. Big Ragoo, Pitt, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I really like this game a lot, actually. With Sims coming back, like Connor said, getting back in that slot, I'm not going to say it's an aberration, just a little bit of a slow start for them early on. They can mix it up pretty well. They're moving in the right direction. They got good offensive punch. The thing that concerns me with Pitt is their secondary, and they are airing it out. They are scoring points. They are giving up points. And you're right, Ian. I do like the over a little bit also, but I like the side a lot better here. I think you talk about spots. I think Virginia Tech. Pitt's got to play Virginia Tech. There's no way they're looking past this game here, but they're going to play 2 road games. This is the first one of them. I just think it's a good spot for Georgia Tech at home to get a quality win here, and it's a good program. They're well balanced, and the only thing that concerns me on the defensive side going against Georgia Tech is Pitt can get in the backfield a little bit. They can mix it up. They can throw some packages at them, but I think Georgia Tech's enough balance here I think the wrong team's favorite. I think Georgia Tech wins this game outright. And I don't want to give it away early, but we get later into the show. We give best bets. This is my early best bet play right here.
There you go. Maybe a best bet material at the end of the show. Make sure you note that because sometimes these shows creep past noon. Not just creep past, but way past noon. So keep that in mind. DJ Big Boss, what do you think here? Pitt, Georgia Tech.
I talked about Pittsburgh a couple years ago, changing the program over to a more pass-heavy program. I think Georgia Tech's both of them are a work in progress, and they probably about the same level. But I would give the edge out to Pitt just because they kind of perfected that offense to where they're putting those points up on the board and all that good stuff. I think it might be a little recency bias with Georgia Tech because of playing a tight game with Clemson, but we starting to discover that Clemson is really not as good as anybody thought. So if you knock out the Clemson game, I mean, they played Northern Illinois and lost. They played Kennesaw State, and they also play another team which I don't really care for, which is North Carolina. So I don't think they really have, like Big Ragoo said, they really probably need a quality win right here. This would be a good chance for Georgia Tech to get a quality win, but I think the speed and the training that they got going over at Pittsburgh just a little too fast. So if I would play this one, I would lean hard to take Pitt.
Yeah, it's a good matchup too, definitely. These are two teams that are, I think, in that mid-tier, trying to elevate to that, pretty much a higher tier in the ACC, both of these teams. And this will go a long way to determining which team's going to take that step. All right, we go to Memphis and Temple. Next up now, we've got Memphis 11-point road favorites here, 59 the total in this one. I certainly lean to Temple a little bit, and that's kind of surprising because I was obviously looking at Temple as a bet against team. But I don't know. Memphis, you look at the last 2 weeks, that Mississippi State win, I said it last week, fraudulent. They didn't deserve it. They had a special teams touchdown. They had a defensive touchdown. That's why they beat Mississippi State. And the Chickens came home to roost last week for that Memphis team. They get out to a 21-0 lead on Texas San Antonio, but then get dominated from that point on. And UTSA comes all the way back to knock off Memphis in that game. And now Memphis, after a game against Mississippi State, back and forth, they won, albeit they shouldn't have. And then the UTSA last week, now you got to play Temple, and you got to travel on the road. And look, Dewan Mathis at quarterback for Temple, who came back last week. Now, granted, they were playing Wagner in the FCS, but I think he's been good. And statistically, they haven't been that bad, Temple. They're actually outgaining their opponents, believe it or not, on a yards per play basis this year, the Temple Owls. And that's not really being something that I think it's something that the betting markets are kind of sleeping on right here. And to me, this is just more. I've seen enough Memphis over the years, better Memphis teams, Paxton Lynch Memphis teams, Brady White Memphis teams, to know and believe that I don't trust Memphis as double-digit road favorites. They have often had a tough time in this particular point spread role. And when you look at Temple, they look statistically better than maybe their record indicates. Hell, even when they got the shit beat out of them by Rutgers in the first game, they moved the ball. They just couldn't, hang on to it. They had so many turnovers in that game. I still don't love the Memphis defense, and we saw that last week. Couldn't get a stop when they needed it against UTSA. I think Temple can hang around. I'm not asking them to win the game or even take it to the wire, but you're getting 11. Just compete. I think they will. I like the home dog a little bit. Connor, what do you think? Memphis and Temple?
Yeah, how's Memphis going to be after blowing that game to UTSA?
Yeah.
This kind of seems like a sleepwalker, like you're talking about. I definitely wouldn't feel confident laying it with Memphis. I think the over's in play as well. Both defenses, Temple gives up a ton of points. Memphis has 2. I'm not on it, but I'd take the points and lean over here.
All right, Big Ragoo, what do you like here? Memphis Temple.
Yeah, points look good. I'm not going to be on the game, but points look good in the spot just for the aforementioned that you guys put together on that. Definitely both teams are. I think Temple's a little more balanced on the offensive side right now. Usually, Memphis is the one that has a big play capability. Usually, have running back but I think they're a little off right now. So something's not right, and they're yielding points. They're giving up bigger plays and double digits on the road. It's a pass. It would be a lean on Temple.
Yeah, they struggled to run the ball last week, too. That's a little bit of a concern as well. One-dimensional, had to rely on throwing it too much. And look, Seth Hennigan might be good in time, but he had a little bit of a freshman second half last week in that game. Didn't do much at all. Struggled against a pretty good team and I'm not saying Temple's pretty good team or defense, but you got to go on the road. You're a freshman quarterback. You're laying 11. You've kind of struggled with accuracy at times. And the one thing about Dewan Mathis for Temple, quarterback for them, he is a Georgia transfer. Georgia's pretty damn good school last I checked. So they saw something in him to recruit him. And he does have dual threat capabilities. So we'll see if he can show that. And that was his best game by far last week. And Silverfield, the head coach for Memphis, in 5 road games, 2 and 3 straight up, 0-5 against the spread in true road games as head coach of this Memphis program. All of them, of course, most of them of last year, but so that's not a good track record for someone laying doubles here. DJ, what do you think, Memphis Temple?
The line really worries me on this one. 11 points to a team that is coming off a loss that they kind of gave up. They kind of had it for a while, and UTSA came back and finished them off. So I don't really understand the line coming in at 11. It just looks so automatic to grab those points with Temple. But it'll be a pass for me. But I just want to say, for everybody out there in the chat and that's watching, it's the 5th week of college football. You got to be careful this week. Things come down to conference play. You can't really sometimes carry over some of the data that you got from these non-conference games and apply it in these conference games. So you got to be careful at where you lie your edges at in college football this week, especially. So just tread lightly. Some of these games like this probably be a better watch than the actual play, but that line kind of scared me. Kind of seems like the book knows something we don't know.
Yeah, it's higher than I like in terms of trusting Memphis. That's for sure, which is why I'm on the home dog here. Toledo, UMass. We've got Toledo 27-point road favorites, 56.5 being the total in this game. That's a lot of points to be. Now, I get it. It's UMass, so I know they've got to be priced, like this. That's a big number to be laying, though, with Toledo. Toledo's been pretty good, actually, defensively for the most part. But the more I look out at Carter Bradley, a little bit up and down for my liking, to be honest with you. And they've had lots of red zone issues the last few. They haven't finished drives off well enough. The O-line is, has underwhelmed a bit for Toledo. And you got to be able to punch in touchdowns if you're going to cover as almost 4 touchdown favorites. So that's the issue. But look, obviously UMass, we know how much of a bad, downtrodden, bottom feeder program this is. So it's not like I'm saying go out there and bet Toledo. But I'm just saying there's some issues with the Toledo offense for me that would concern me in terms of laying this big of a number. Obviously, it's been tough sledding. They had actually covered 2 in a row, UMass, against Boston College and Eastern Michigan prior to last week, and they just got absolutely ripped apart by Coastal Carolina, 53-3, outgained by almost 400 yards. So, like I say, I'm not rushing to back UMass, but look, Toledo has not been sharp and crisp and firing on all cylinders offensively, and that does worry me when you're talking about a favorite in this range. So for me, it's actually a lean under, believe it or not, because I don't think UMass is going to score much against Toledo. But Toledo, with their offensive issues, this game could actually stay under what's a high 50s total here. It's already gone down from 58 to 57. I'm not betting the game, but I'd lean slightly to the under. Connor, anything here? Toledo, UMass.
Yeah, as long as UMass, I think they could cover this. This is a big number, 4 touchdowns for a team like Toledo. Even though UMass has been horrible the last 2 years, had a few good covers like you talked about, then just got ripped 53-3 last week. So I almost played it, but I'd only take the points to the UMass. I think this could be a backdoor cover. I think they just need a touchdown or 2. But this Toledo defense, like you talked about, has been pretty good.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm with Connor on this. UMass, the 2 home games that they had with the covers, I mean, the two ATS covers were at home against Boston College and Eastern Michigan, and they scored up in the 28 points in both of those games. And if you think the total is going to be on the under, I would say that bodes well for the home team covering the number here. But
yeah,
I'm with Connor on that. I think they might get a backdoor. If they're
all right,
30-something points, they might get it in.
All right, good stuff. Boss, what do you think here?
Man, I was done with Toledo when they lost to Colorado State week self. So no way that I touched Toledo with 22 points. But I don't have enough confidence in UMass to, put my money on the hope and the wish of closing the back door. But hey, it's nasty right here. I'm all the way off this game. I'm off Toledo for the season, probably for the most part.
All right, we got Charlotte and Illinois. Interesting non-conference game here with Illinois 10.5 point home favorites, 54 the total in this game. I'm on the 49ers side here in this one, Charlotte. Actually, the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. The one concern is Charlotte's pretty abysmal in terms of their run defense. And look, Illinois, that's their best path to moving the football is on the ground. I don't think Brandon Peters is a great quarterback. He's an okay quarterback, serviceable. But obviously with Bielema especially, always a run-heavy, methodical, slow-paced, run-first offense all the years he's been a coach. That's what he wants to do. That's how they want to move the football first and foremost. And Charlotte has had some issues stopping the run. So that does concern me a bit. But I like their quarterback, Chris Reynolds. He's throwing the ball well. He's got some playmakers. Victor Tucker's one of the best playmakers in Conference USA. And he's outstanding at wide receiver. He's got 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions this year at Reynolds. So he's done a good job protecting the football. You look at the O-line for the Illinois side. They've had some injuries on that unit. That's a little bit of an issue. Illinois definitely got some issues right now in terms of the O-line's banged up. The passing game has been non-existent. And you look at the secondary for Illinois, it's been ripped apart. 124th in passing yards allowed for this Illinois secondary against a quarterback that can throw it a little bit. And, I know it was Duke is not very good, but Charlotte beat them, in week 1, outright as an underdog, showing an ability to maybe step up in class a little bit against a Power 5 team. And is really Illinois heads and shoulders better than Duke? I'm not so sure. So I think it's a competitive football game here, and I'll take the 10.5 here with Charlotte in this one. What do you think, Conor Mac? Charlotte, Illinois?
Yeah, but I think, like someone mentioned, Leonard Welch. I think it's a little step up in class, but Illinois, definitely. I don't want to lay 10 points with this team right now. There's a whole bunch of more games. This one, I'd rather, I take UNC Charlotte with the points. I just don't love it. Illinois, man, that was an ugly one. They're having a tough time scoring. You talked about their defense, hasn't been great either. I also look maybe under, but Charlotte's got a really bad defense, so it's a pass.
The difference here is this one's on the road for Charlotte. The Duke game is at home, but no, I think I still think matchup wise, there's things to like for Charlotte. I think they can throw on Illinois. And the secondary throw. I think Illinois can run on Charlotte. I actually think the over is probably worth a look here. It's a modest total, 53.5, 54. I think I'd look over because I think Charlotte offensively has an advantage. So does Illinois because Charlotte's run defense has been a little leaky. So I would think that the over is worth a look here as well with the Charlotte Illinois game. By the way, Brett Bielema did it again last week. Can't believe this shit, man. It's 2021. Can we change the way we do things? 4th and 2 on the Purdue 34. He's punting. On the Purdue 34, 4th and 2, and the guy is punting, trailing in the fourth quarter. You can't make this shit up. He's done this on his whole career as a head coach. Mr. Time to get out of the dinosaur era and the dinosaur age, and maybe get a little aggressive for Christ's sake. Throw the ball, go for it on 4th down and 2. 4th and 2 from the Purdue side of midfield, the 34, and he's punting. I mean, that drives you nuts. You got to go for it. I mean, my goodness. Let's get a little aggressive here. It's not 1981 anymore. It's 2021. Come on, wake up. My goodness. Terrible. Anyway, that drove me crazy when I saw that last week, that Illinois-Purdue game, especially when they're trailing. You can't either send the field goal team out there or you go for it on 4th and 2. You don't punt. And obviously it didn't work. Shocker. Big Ragoo, what do you think here? Charlotte, Illinois.
It's a tough call here either way, I think, because it can go either way. I think Illinois is going to try to ground and pound it, and Charlotte's going to try to put it up through the air. But the Charlotte wins that they have, they're 3-1. We know that. They some of these teams that are 3-1 that they played the earlier games, they had some decent looks. Some are you're looking at teams that are 1-3 that don't deserve to be 1-3. I really don't think the Charlotte team deserves to be 3-1. Even though they have some nice quarterback play, and Illinois, they ever since that first game against Nebraska, they haven't been able to get much going. So I think they get away with a victory at home. I think this is a good spot for them to kind of tighten things up a little bit in Champaign, but I don't know if they get to that number. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, definitely. That's the concern, winning by margin, and then you have a coach that's going to punt on 4th and 2 at the opponent's 34-yard line. I mean, that's not going to help you build a margin either. When you see shit like that. Unbelievable, man. He's doing it again. DJ Big Boss, what do you think of this game?
Hey, first-year coach Brent Bielema, he has to mark his foot in the sand on this one. I mean, he came out and did a good job beating Nebraska. That probably had a lot to do with preparation, and he probably prepared well for that one. And Nebraska's not who we thought they were going to be. But since then, it's been all else. All the way down, la 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 la. So right here at home, it's a chance for them to put their feet in the sand. And this guy that everybody got a boss, right? So Bielema got to go answer to the bosses over there, show them that he's here for the long term. This opportunity. I mean, Books got it by 10. It's an opportunity for them to let people know that this coach is going to be here for a while, and some things are going to change over a period of time. So I don't know, another one of those games. It's some weird matchups today that make great games to watch, though. Another one be a great game to watch going into the future. See how this Illinois team respond to some of this conference play and all this good stuff going on. And Bielema was kind of impressive in that Nebraska game. Some of the schemes he did, it wasn't no 4th and 2s with the punts, but some of the schemes they did, the defense they played. But these teams on paper are like total opposites. You know what I'm saying? And right here saying that defensively, Charlotte is giving up 234 yards on the ground. And then on the flip side, Illinois is 136 on the ground. Then you got passing yards. Charlotte's doing really well, holding teams to 199 yards in the air. But then on the other side, Illinois is giving up 312 yards in the air. So these are the kind of things you kind of want to stay away from in college football. This game is probably going to come out with a clear winner. I don't know which one is going to be the winner. If you like Illinois, they're probably covered by 10. But, hey, if you want to get some dog money, the sun going to shine on the dog's ass.
That is indeed true. Look, who's that in the chat? Is that Jimmy the Bag? Welcome in. Jimmy the Bag's in the chat. All right, great
JB.
stuff. Jimmy the Bag, of course, betting with the Bag Tuesday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. NFL Pub Hub, he'll be hosting that tomorrow as well, 11 a.m. Eastern. So good to have Jimmy in the chat joining us here on this Saturday morning college football show. Let's move down to Western Michigan Buffalo. Western Michigan 7-point road favorites, 59.5 the total. I think Western Michigan's better than Buffalo, but am I ready to lay 7 on the road? I'm not sure. I lean Western. Buffalo, by the way, that was a misleading score last week against Old Dominion. When you look at that game, Buffalo, very, very fortunate in that game. They got dominated in the box score. Old Dominion had the yardage edge. Old Dominion was minus in turnovers. Buffalo had a special teams touchdown. They had a defensive touchdown. They really feasted on some good fortune in that game, Buffalo, and they barely survived. They were +2 in turnovers. They lost in first downs, 27-17, outgained 433 to 297. They had all that and basically still only won by a point. So I don't know how good Buffalo is. I know they're not as good as they were last year, but I know the last time they were a home underdog, they covered against a very good Coastal Carolina team. So, and Kyle Van Treese, I don't trust the downfield passing game. I don't think he's a great pocket passer. He's improved a little bit, but that's not saying much. The run game, without Jarrett Patterson's, it's actually been better lately. But doing that against Western Michigan is going to be more difficult. Western Michigan's defense has really improved this year. I know they got ripped by Pittsburgh and Michigan, but those are Power 5 teams. When they've played someone on their level, they've done well. I like Ellaby, the quarterback. They can run the football. They're very balanced through the run, on the ground, through the air. But I don't think this is a bargain, because even with all this love for Western Michigan and all this question marks I have for Buffalo, I only made the number Western -6, and they're laying 7 here in this game. So I don't know if it's great value, but I got to see more for Buffalo before I back them here. I'm not involved in the game, but I lean Western. I just didn't get the line value I wanted. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, me too. I'd like this under a touchdown with Western Michigan. Man, but a huge win at Pitt, and then they come back it up 23-3 for San Jose. Man, Western Michigan's playing some good football right now. And I don't have a read on Buffalo, like you talked about. They're a dog at home, so that's why I'm leery. It's a game I'm off. I thought if I get under a touchdown, I might look at Western Michigan, but it was a pass for me.
Yeah, I lean under too. If Western Michigan's defense is anything like it's been the last couple of weeks, like that shutting down. I know San Jose State was in a brutal scheduling spot, off the Hawaii.
But they have their problems too. San Jose needs their offensive problems. But yeah, it was a brutal spot.
But that's still impressive by that Western defense last week to completely shut them down like that. And that defense has improved for sure. Big Ragoo, what do you think? Western Michigan, Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out both of these teams, but just going by a little bit of history and what I've seen production-wise, points, offense, defense, I think it's a good spot for Buffalo at home catching points. They seem to feast at home. They play their best football at home. They're yielding like 17 points a game. Where Western Michigan, they've had a little bit of a road struggle per se. But that game against San Jose too, that was a real bad spot for them. We talked about that the week before. But I think in this spot, I really like Buffalo at home. I know they've 1-4 the last 5 ATS Western Michigan against Buffalo, and I think Buffalo is in a good spot here. I know you're not wild about Kyle Van Treese. I mean, he's had some inconsistencies, but the running game is picked up at home, and Western Michigan's defense is pretty good too. So I think it's going to be a grinded out style game, but I think Buffalo's in a good spot here catching points. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on them with the money line also.
Yeah, they have a dual running back group, Dylan McDuffie, Kevin Marks, and last couple of weeks they have run the football better. And they're going to need to, because Kyle Van Treese cannot carry an offense through the air. They've got to be able to run the football, and we'll see if they can today. Boss, what do you think of this one?
I think it's a perfect spot to go under on this one. Both teams play pretty good defense, keep things contained. The offense are nothing like to super brag about or, something really that powerful. We getting a nice number at 59.5 I see out there. So I think it has a great makeup for a nice under game. I mean, the history of these two teams, I think it's 4-7 to the over or something like that. But on this week conference stuff, you got to go look and see what the history of the two teams was. These are young college kids. They hold value in schools that have more money or they think are bigger or better than where they are and stuff like that. So that's why you have a continuance of the same history that goes between these teams during conference play. But the makeup of both of these teams right here looks like a real solid under. I might get to the window with this one.
All right, we move on now as we continue along. Thanks to everybody. Hit the like button, by the way. 200 likes.
Smash the like.
Make sure you smash that like button for us. Definitely, we appreciate it. All right, we move along as we continue through the noon Eastern kickoffs. Here we go, the big one at noon Eastern. Arkansas, Georgia. Georgia's down to 16.5 point home favorites now at most spots. So lots of Arkansas money coming in, 49 the total. All of it probably a reaction to all of a sudden JT Daniels' questionable status for this game, that he may or may not suit up here for the Georgia Bulldogs. Game time decision. If it's not him, you'll see Stetson Bennett take over at the quarterback spot for Georgia, a guy that's been, I'll say he's played a little bit better this year, but he's still going to be a guy that I want starting at quarterback for me against this Arkansas defense. No, no, not really. But look, definitely this is going to be the big reason for this line move is the question marks at quarterback for Georgia. But Arkansas is one of those undefeated ATS teams. There's only 2 Power 5 teams that are undefeated against the spread this year. Arkansas is one, Rutgers is the other. I ain't betting against either of them. The betting markets have been off on these teams. They have shown that they've been lagging behind how much improved they are. And until they catch up, and which means until they lose a game to the spread, I'm not betting against them right now. Not a chance. I don't like Arkansas as much as last week. I mean, we loved Arkansas last week. This entire crew on this show loved the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I can speak for Big Ragoo. He was away last week, but he liked Arkansas a lot last week as well against A&M. They won outright. I'm back on Arkansas again. Now, granted, I have concerns. Can they run the football? I'm not sure. And they have to be able to run the football and KJ Jefferson, I think, is going to play for Arkansas. But without a run game to rely on, I don't know if Jefferson's at the point yet where he can do it all through the air. I just don't, especially against a defense like this on the road. So if they can't run the football, I do get concerns that this is 3-and-out punt. They just cannot move the ball a ton. And eventually Georgia could wear them down, lean on them, even though it's a really good Arkansas defense. Barry Odom's done an outstanding job coordinating it. Pittman, early contender for head coach of the year, in my opinion. But you could get worn down if your offense just is unable to sustain drives. And that could be the case without a ground game if they get shut down running the football. So I am concerned about that, but not quite enough concerned about it for Arkansas to not take them. Plus all of these points, especially knowing that JT Daniels may miss this game for Georgia. So I'm on Arkansas again. I've been riding them in most games. I took them against Texas, took them against A&M last week, and I'm back on them here again. They've stepped up in class every time, and I think they can do enough to be competitive in terms of at least hanging inside this big number. So I'm on Arkansas again. Also, the under makes sense. Definitely, unless there's a bunch of turnovers and pick sixes and fumble return touchdowns, this should be a lower scoring football game. Connor, what's your thoughts on this big one in the SEC?
Yeah, that's what I like. I like the under in this one. And we've all, most of us, we've been on Arkansas. I don't know. I think we'll see if Daniels plays. It's Georgia's defense that's really, really good, but Arkansas's defense has been good as well. But that offensive line that we talked about is a little bit healthier than last week. And can they run it against Georgia? It won't be easy at Georgia, definitely. But I got to take the points. And the big key for me, Jefferson, he's in. I think he's going to play. You just talked about it. He's got to make a few plays. He makes some plays. I think Arkansas stays in this one, but it's a tight one. I see a dogfight here, close one.
Yeah, and the concern, too, is, look, Zach Calzada, that was pretty horrible last week for him, but from A&M in that offense. if you go in the second half and get, Arkansas didn't do much in the second half offensively. If you go through a whole second half offensively on the road today against Georgia without doing much, you're going to be in trouble. So that's the one thing that does worry me a little bit. So keep an eye. Maybe this could be a good live in-game type betting game as well. Maybe look for a live in-game opportunity. Big Ragoo, what do you think here?
Yeah, defense and more defense in this one, guys. But, like I remember like Wisconsin, they had like the number one defense and they were giving up like 9 points a game, some ridiculous number, just like Georgia was doing. But the difference between Georgia and Wisconsin is Georgia's got the pieces to score points on the offensive side. And the early games, we don't write those off, but, they get going early, then things get figured out. But their defense is monstrous. Arkansas has done a lot of nice things. Even last year, they started off pretty quick, and then they kind of faded. But this year, they're a little more balanced on the offensive side. But you're right about KJ Jefferson. He's going to have to make a couple big plays to kind of keep that number, intact for them. But it is a lot of numbers. They are getting to the window. They are cashing week in, week out. I mean, they took on Rice. A&M was a big test for them. So moving forward, coming out of that game, we'll see how to respond between the hedges. But I would have to lean with Arkansas. I'm not betting Arkansas. I'm going to lean with Arkansas.
All right, DJ Big Boss, Arkansas, Georgia.
It's kind of simple for me. This is how we're going to play the SEC for the whole way out. There's two top there. You got Alabama and you got Georgia. Those are the top. Ain't no disputing it or anything. Then there's a couple teams in the conference that might have a chance at knocking one of these two teams out. And those teams, for me, is going to be Mississippi because they switched up their whole style, and that's going to be something that's going to catch them off guard a little bit. The other one's going to be Arkansas, who's been running the ball really well, playing some real smash-mouth football, and it's been really, really working for them. I mean, those guys look impressive on the field, and I think that they can hang today against this Georgia team. And I like I'm getting all mixed up. It's too early in the morning on the West Coast. But I like taking those points, man. Wish I would have jumped on it a little earlier. It's already been driven down to 15 from like 17. But I think it's way too many points for a team that's going to battle. The whole JT Daniels thing and all that, I wouldn't even kind of pay much attention to that. JT Daniels is more of a facilitator on that team. Between the two teams, we're going to see about 80 rushing attempts today and maybe about 20 passes apiece for them, on both sides. So leans a lot to the under where Conor Mac is at, but in these type of conference play games and stuff like that, two negatives could equal positives. This thing can get out of hand, but I don't see them really relying on the moving the ball in the air because they haven't did it for Arkansas all year. Georgia ain't really did it all year. They just been based on their run and their defense. So these two teams come to the table with the same thing, rushing and defense. So they pretty much equal to me. So give me the points. I'm playing that today.
All right. Hey, and real quick, Georgia's been impressive, but they haven't 62 of them, but Vandy, UAB, I mean, South Carolina.
This is their best.
They get tested.
Well, other than Clemson was pretty obviously in the first game.
Inflated numbers on defense.
Yeah. But now Clemson, that win's not so impressive now after what we've seen out of Clemson. Barely beat Georgia Tech, lost to NC State last week. So, that's why this is going to be a good challenge. Like Arkansas's proven enough. They've already got wins against Texas and A&M on their schedule. So you got to give them their due. That's why I think they can compete here with Georgia today. Speaking of Texas, one of the teams Arkansas beat earlier this year, they're playing TCU. Texas 4.5-point road favorite, 65 the total. All I kept hearing coming into the year is this great Gary Patterson defense, and it was going to be outstanding this year. I don't see it. Against Cal, a ham and egger quarterback and Chase Garbers, all they do is give up 442 yards in that game, and they barely win. Give up 32 points. Last week against SMU, they get absolutely ripped apart, this TCU defense, giving up 436 yards. Tanner Mordecai, 4 touchdowns in that game. Just ripping apart this TCU secondary. Everybody thought TCU was going to bounce back this year, and TCU's kind of had a couple lean years last year. But the fact that they're kind of underwhelming this year, now I know they've only got the one loss, but they could have lost to Cal, and you could be looking at a 2-2 team right now instead of a 3-1 team. I'm starting to wonder if maybe Gary Patterson's losing his magic a little bit here with this program. I mean, are they recruiting as well? I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily the case. And one thing is for sure going into this game, and I know they got Oklahoma next week, this Texas team, and that's a valid point by Wally in the chat mentioning that. Maybe a look ahead, but I'm not inclined to take TCU in this game. I think Texas is better, potentially a lot better. Look, I know TCU's really given Texas fits over the years. That's all of those games were Tom Herman games. None of them were Steve Sarkisian games since he's taken over. And how are you going to step in front of this freight train offense? Since Casey Thompson has taken over the offense the last couple of weeks, they've looked amazing, Texas. 128 points, 70 last week against Texas Tech, wins and covers, back-to-back games. They look very impressive with Thompson at quarterback. They've got great balance. Sark's calling a very good offense, good scheme as well. Things are clicking now for Texas. Maybe the look ahead gets them, and I know TCU's always been a thorn in their side, but I've not been impressed enough with TCU to take them. If I'm playing this game, I'm laying it with the road favorite. The number's high, but you're right. TCU's defense has been ripped. Texas is good to score 40-50 potentially in this game, considering we just saw TCU score 40 or SMU score 42 against TCU last week. So I would only look over the total in this game, and I like the road favorite, Texas. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, TCU always seems to play Texas tough, but I'm with you. This wasn't enough points. TCU's got a bad defense. I need way more than this. And I think this is kind of short with Texas. I know I always say that, but I've seen, man, they looked really good last week. Texas Tech, though, is not very good on the defensive side of the ball. But, yeah, I'd lay it here with Texas. I haven't bet it, but given 42 to SMU, I think Texas can get around the same. But, yeah, the look ahead with Oklahoma and the troubles in the past with TCU, it's got question marks for me.
Yeah, and Max Duggan is I think is good. He's gotten a little bit better, but he could still get to another level, and he hasn't done that yet. Yeah, and you're right. I've been betting against TCU as well. Now, both the times they were home favorites. Now they're a home dog, so the point spread role is completely different. So there probably is some value with TCU, but I just don't like the matchup, and I don't like the way they're trending. They barely got past a mediocre Cal squad at home, barely. As home favorites, didn't cover, and of course they lose outright to SMU last week. I just don't like the way they're going. Big Ragoo, what do you think? Texas, TCU?
It's Texas a pass, but I got the look I have on this game. You mentioned about Sarkisian has that offense really rolling, and they are rolling, and I think they're going to yield points. I do lean towards the over also. I mean, I'm more than about how many points that the Texas defense is going to give up. So that's what I'm unsure. But I know Texas is going to score points. So my look is definitely to take over 34 points with Texas in this spot. It's minus 120, but I would lay that. I think Texas covers that 34 on their own. I think they hit the 40s, high 40s here.
Well, they've been playing up-tempo, TCU, Sonny Cumbie. That's the way they run their offense. And the more you look at it, it's like, do you really want to be playing that way with a defense that's not getting stops? But they're sticking to it. They're still playing fast, and that's also why the total is as high as it is. But I think it gets there over the total as well. DJ Big Boss, what do you like here?
I said it last week with the Texas Tech game. You know, when Texas meet Texas, these things tend to go over. I'm not usually trying to chase a 64. I think it is for the over. But if I were to bet this, I'd definitely go ahead and lay that over with that one. Like we said on paper and what we've seen, each of them have their flaws on defense. And Sark is an offensive guy, so he like, hey, if I got to beat you up top, I'll beat you up top. And TCU, you know, interstate type thing, Texas on Texas, you know, these kids played against each other in high school and all that good stuff, so yields a lot of points. But I'm gonna stay off. I'm gonna watch it. If I would take the side, I'd like Ragoo say it'd be Texas or pass. TCU hasn't really 100% proven themselves to say they're gonna jump in here and beat up the big dog. So I would definitely lean Texas, and I also would lean the over in this one.
All right, we got Michigan, Wisconsin, also another big one at noon Eastern in the Big Ten. Wisconsin, 2-point home favorites, 43.5 the total. This spot screams Wisconsin. There's no denying that whatsoever. No denying that at all. But I cannot do it, and I will not do it. Take Wisconsin. Now, I'm lukewarm on Michigan. I have a small bet on Michigan right now, but I don't have great confidence in that either. This is just more of a fade of Wisconsin because I just think somehow, some way, with what I've seen against Penn State and what I've seen against Notre Dame, this team will shoot themselves in the foot. And this quarterback, Graham Mertz, will make a mistake when it counts. That's where I'm at with this team. They will just find a way to fuck it up. That's essentially it. Wisconsin at this point. I mean, that's what we're at. I mean, this offense stinks. It's broken. This quarterback cannot get out of his own way. He gets multiple pick sixes on him in the fourth quarter. He's inaccurate. He's got happy feet in the pocket. He hangs onto the ball too much. He's inaccurate. Like I said, he's just not making good decisions at all either. Forcing the ball when there's nothing there. And that could be trouble against a Michigan defense that's played pretty well so far this year. The one thing that's worrying me is how many games do we ever see Michigan win on the road, big games with Jim Harbaugh? We don't. We just don't see them win big road games. And this is their best chance because Wisconsin is they're licking their wounds. They're vulnerable. They've already lost 2 games. They're probably wondering, this is a season where we had a lot of expectations, and now we've already lost 2 games. Where do we go from here? This is a chance for Michigan to pounce and rewrite the narrative that, hey, we can beat a solid team on the road. And they have not been able to do that in recent years. So you better believe that is a concern of mine. But, and look, Cade McNamara has been good enough. The key is, can they run the football with Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins? They're 2 running backs who are outstanding. But the one thing Michigan does have is a pretty solid defense, and the defenses deserve better. They played very well against Penn State. They played very well last week against Notre Dame as well. And the offense has just been so inept, and the turnovers and the failed drives and missed field goals and stalled drives and turnover on downs and just everything is just completely sunk this team, even though the defense has played well. So I think it's low scoring, but I'm not laying points with Wisconsin. I know it's Michigan on the road's tough, not the easiest thing to trust either, but this Wisconsin team has just found ways to lose. Their confidence has to be a little bit rattled right now. I ain't laying points with this team or this quarterback right now. So small bet Michigan, lean under as well. Connor, what do you like?
Yeah, even at 43.5, I got to lean under. I don't know how many points will be scored in this one. Can Harbaugh win one, on the road? I think it's like you talked about, this is his best chance right now. This down Wisconsin team, Mertz isn't very good, but Wisconsin is at home. They should get up for it. I can't, even the 2 points, I can't play Wisconsin at all. I'd be on Michigan money line or pass, but I definitely lean the under here, 43.5.
All right, big Ragoo, Michigan, Wisconsin.
This is an autopilot play for me, guys. I said anything that's in the low 40s bodes well to the under. Take the under. Wisconsin's defense is still pretty good. They can't get nothing going on the offensive side, which equates to 0 points, low points. And I think they can scheme against Michigan's offense, even though Michigan's offense is pretty good right now. And I never take Michigan as a favorite, always as a dog. So that kind of folds in with your logic, Ian, on taking Michigan plus on the plus side. But I think the under is a more solid look here. So I can't trust either team. I can trust Michigan's offense a little bit more, obviously, than Wisconsin's offense. But I know both defenses are going to show up here, so I'm going to take the under the 43 points.
Yeah, that is under the total, definitely. Now, again, you could get like last week where you get, pick sixes and fumbles and they result in points. That's the only reason that game went over the total. It wasn't because the offenses were good from either team. By the way, Wisconsin is 91st, all right? 91st in the country in yards per play on offense. That tells you how dreadful they've been. Awful. The 91st, I mean, they're there with some really bad teams. They're ranked down there with teams like frickin' UMass, Georgia State, Syracuse, who don't have much of an offense, Arizona. I mean, that's where they are right now, Wisconsin's offense. Absolutely terrible. DJ Big Boss, what do you like?
Looks like we're going to get about 90 rushing attempts between these two today. But we talked about the Michigan train last week. If you didn't hop on last week, then you might be too late. But I'm all aboard on the Michigan train. Like I say, Harbaugh's seat is hot. He's trying to cool it off. He's been doing a good job. But he has the greatest recipe that you can have in football, which is a good defense and a great running game. It leaves every other option is wide open on the field when you could be successful at those two right there. But my hard edge on this one is just like I said a few weeks ago as well, watching teams on how they play after they played Notre Dame because of all the hype that they put on it. I mean, last week's game, in the big Soldier Field and all that good stuff. This Wisconsin team probably worn down a little bit. So if you go look back after Purdue played Notre Dame, they fell off. Toledo lost to Colorado State. Wisconsin goes in with a bunch of banged up players right here. So I think this might be the line is a lot off right here. So definitely Michigan money line. I'm playing that today.
All right, Louisville, Wake Forest. Wake Forest, 7-point home favorite, 64 the total in this game. Fascinating to see the total go up, guys, because Wake Forest's gone under the total in all 4 games, and they have a defense this year. I think they have maybe a pretty damn good one, actually, because you look at what they've done. Now, you could argue Florida State's offense. Florida State's a mess, but they played well defensively there. Virginia, that was a good defensive game. They held them to 17 points, forced a lot of turnovers. I mean, Wake Forest defense has been pretty good this year for Dave Clawson's group. Best defense maybe they've had, and they've gone under in every game. So it's just fascinating when you see every Wake game's gone under, and yet the total's going up here in this game. Louisville's won back-to-back against Central Florida and Florida State last week, 31-23. They got outgained by Florida State, though, last week, and barely outgained Central Florida. But look, Malik Cunningham's looked solid enough at quarterback. But here's the issue, I think, going into this game. Wake's defense, it's been pretty good against the run, and the Louisville offense is a run-heavy offense. I mean, it's not something. They got to be able to run the ball to have their best success. Wake's been pretty good stopping the run. I think Wake's a really good football team, and I'm not rushing to go against them here. In fact, I laid 6.5 with Wake. You look at Louisville; they're on the road for a second straight week. That's a little bit of a negative spot in my mind. Louisville's defense is still not good. I think there's a huge gap between these two teams defensively. I laid 6.5. It's up to 7 now, so I wouldn't lay much more than 7. But even at -7, I still lean Wake. I think they could win this game and extend the margin. Connor, what do you think here?
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of favorites that I liked, and that good job getting the 6.5. I lean Wake here too. I think the game's more of like 37-17, kind of like that Virginia game or the Florida State game. I think Wake's pretty good here. Louisville, I was down on them. Obviously, they lost the first game, but won 3 straight. So I lean under too. I think this might be too many points. I think Wake's defense, can hold Louisville again. And it's all about Cunningham. If he plays well, they could be in this one tight. But if he turns the ball over, Wake could cover here.
And he hasn't been doing that, Sam Hartman. He's been terrific. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception on the year, 66% completions. And look, they play extremely fast, Wake. Maybe that's why the total's going up, but it hasn't mattered. They play fast every week, and they've gone under 4 straight. So keep that in mind. Big Ragoo, what do you like?
Wake, hey, if you follow me last year, I made a lot of money betting Wake, Army. Certain teams that I played last year I haven't been on this year for my own disappointment, but Wake was one of those teams, and they're off to a fast start, and they have made some dramatic improves on the defensive side. So there's no question, the hurry up is intact. They're a well-coached team, and like Connor says, the team's going to revolve around Cunningham and his ability to kind of make plays. So I think it's a good spot for Wake. I'm not crazy about laying the 7. I might look at a first half number here because I think Wake's going to come out quick and put points on the board. And I think it's a good spot for that, the first half look here. It's probably going to be 4. I haven't looked at it yet. So I imagine Wake will be up by a touchdown going into the half. Maybe not full game, but first half for sure.
Yeah, first half is 4. You're right on the hit that one right on the nose there, Big Ragoo. -4 Wake in the first half. DJ Big Boss, what do you like?
This is one of those teams. I mean, one of those games that I, put a little circle by for an under game for me to check out. And then when I went to break the game down, I come out of the breakdown with the over. So, and a lot of that has to do with the quarterback over there at Louisville. A lot of those passing rushing yards are a little misconstrued because the guy would take off at any time. So there you got a pass play that actually turned into a running play. So when you line all those numbers up on paper, you can get a little blurred line right there. So after I seen that, I went a little deeper and looked into the history of the matchup, and that's why I told people earlier in the show, you got to consider these things. So you go back to the matchup with these two. I mean, they ain't played an under 50 game in years. So just last year it was what, 21-48. 2019 it was 62-58. So these two teams have a history of scoring on each other, and those kind of things don't really change. Like I said, they're young college kids. They're looking forward to a lot of things. They value some of the wrong things and all that good stuff. So I lean over on this one, but I think there's more value in taking Wake in this one. Wake is they're turning around the program over there. They're looking good going into this one, and Louisville is struggling, man. They just, I wanted to back Louisville because the seat's getting hot over there as well. So I thought they would respond, and they haven't really responded to my liking. But actually, on paper, what are they? 4-1. So they only had the one loss to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is a really good team. So they could be kind of solid. So it's kind of tricky in there, but I find the most value in taking Wake in this one. And if I had to take the total, I'm going to go contrarian and take the over.
All right, App State, Georgia State. Next game here, we've got App State 10-point road favorites in this one. The total currently 54.5, pretty much across the board here in this. App State with the win against Marshall last Thursday night, 31-30. They hung on to win that game. Obviously, they battled Miami, although Miami's been dreadful. So you don't put too much stock into that. They beat East Carolina in their first game. Chase Bryce is playing well. I got to give him that. Like, it was a disaster for him at Duke last year, but he's played well. They've got a good run game. There's a lot to like for the App offense, and their defense is still pretty solid. They gave up some plays against Marshall last week, but still solid. That being said, I don't know if I'm ready to lay 10 with them on the road. I mean, that's a different kind of point spread roll, and I know for a fact last year when they were road favorites, they weren't very good last year. App State, especially double-digit road favorites. And look, Georgia State, after a rough couple of games to begin the year, they beat Charlotte, very impressive, outgained them and won 20-9. And then last week against Auburn, to cover wire to wire, only lose that game by 10, 34-24 on the road at Auburn, get outgained by only 35 yards. I think they're making improvement here, Georgia State. The last couple of weeks, they've changed quarterbacks. They've gone from Cornelius Brown, who was not very good, in my opinion. Darren Granger stepped in. He's been a little bit better at the quarterback spot last couple of weeks, sparked the offense a bit, and the defense has really turned it up and played better the last couple of weeks. I think Georgia State can compete in this game. If I'm betting it, I'm going to take the 10 with the home dog here, Georgia State. Conor Mac, what do you like?
Yeah, I don't like laying points with App State on the road like this. So I think Georgia State could be live here. I haven't bet it yet, but I lean that way. I lean under a little bit as well. I think if Georgia State's in this one, it's got to stay under the total.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I'm with Conor on App State on the road games. I think they're scoring like 23 points on average on the road, where Georgia State's yielding a little bit less than that. So I think they tighten it up here a little bit. The defensive looks, I think Georgia State's a little stronger on the defensive side than they are offense, obviously. But I think 10's too many to give here. I'm not on the game, but I would lean Georgia State.
All right, DJ, what do you like here?
I like the under a lot in this one. Over 80-something rushing attempts going to go down in this game. It's classic Sun Belt football right here. And I think this App State team is going back to the old traditional App State that just plays really hard defense and just kind of like just good enough offense. And I mean, I'm not totally impressed with Bryce as well. I mean, he has played well up until this point, but he hasn't really did nothing to razzle dazzle me or make me feel like he's going to score a lot of points. App State's going to be a run first defensive minded team for the rest of the year. And I think we're going to get a lot of unders with App State. They kind of depleted some of their athletes on offense, so all they had to stand by is their defense, and that's something that they pride themselves in. So I big time lean hard on the under on this one.
All right, we have USC Colorado. USC 9-point road favorites in Boulder, 51 the total. I don't have much in this game. I'm not laying 9 with USC after what I saw last week against Oregon. I thought the coaching change gave them a spark, the way they played against Washington State, drilled Washington State. Most of that was with Jackson Dart. He got injured. Slovis plays for them last week, and they look bad again. And the offense is not great. I mean, Slovis, you worry about as defense has figured him out a little bit. People figured out how to contain him because he hasn't been all that great for USC at the quarterback spot this season for them. Very disappointing loss against Oregon State last week. Terrible loss for USC at home. That's back-to-back home losses. It's not like they didn't show up, actually, in those two games against Stanford and Oregon State. Now they got to go on the road, lay 9. No thanks. But do I trust Colorado? They got injuries. Their own offense has been erratic the last couple of weeks. It's not been a team that I fully trust. They're only 1-3. They're 0-2 against the spread at home. It's just a pass for me all around. What do you think, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I can't lay it here with USC. That defense has problems. And maybe Colorado's a team that can't score. They have trouble on offense. So maybe they could score a little bit. Yeah, it's a game I want nothing to do with, even on the total and the side. It was a pass.
Yeah, 65-13, Colorado's been outscored the last 2 weeks by Arizona State and Minnesota. But USC is just way too schizophrenic for me to lay 9 with them on the road here. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, maybe a good look here would be a first half under possibly. But I think they'll start off a little slow. Colorado's got some offensive issues. They can be scored upon, but with that USC offense sputtering here in this spot, playing in altitude too, I think it might be a good look maybe later in the game for a full game under, but definitely I think both teams will come out a little slow here. So maybe a look to the lean on the first half under.
All right, lean first half under. Boss, what do you like?
We rarely ever get a total of 51 in a USC game. That's kind of weird. But like Conor said, Colorado struggles big time on offense. But in the games that they won, they ran the ball really exceptionally. But their defense is really stout, and that's what they're hanging on right here. I don't know. USC is, like I said, I don't like getting involved with a lot of games with a whole lot of drama. I mean, I wish I could be in the locker room to know how they feeling with the coaching situation, the players that's going to be there. Because, nowadays you got a lot of players that's just jumping out in the transfer portal. And week 5, that's when they start making those decisions. My side hurt, coach. I don't think I'm going to see you for the rest of my life. So, that's difficult. I don't like buying into the Slovis drama, though. The Slovis drama is crazy. You can't really count the guy all the way out. I mean, he made JT Daniels leave. He made Sears leave. I mean, those guys played with him in practice. They obviously seen something in them to make them say, like, hey, I ain't got a chance against this guy. So maybe just going through some growing pains. You can never really count them out. USC could win this game. Like I said, if I was in the locker room to see what the camaraderie was between them and the situation, because, drama like that brings people together. So they like, hey, man, it's all us. They might go out here, and because Colorado can't score well, they might have a good time and cover that number. So I'm off the game, but it's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, there's no downfield passing attack for Colorado right now. Brendan Lewis has been abysmal. I mean, 52% completions. He has 1 touchdown in 4 games, 313 passing yards total in 4 games. You break that down, they're barely getting, 80 yards passing per game. I mean, there's just nothing there through the air for Colorado. So the under actually does kind of make some sense. Monroe, Coastal Carolina. Coastal, 33.5, 34-point home favorites, 57.5 the total in this one. We've got Coastal Carolina just off the thrashing over UMass last week, 53-3. They just dominated them. Does anybody trust ULM to keep it up? They've actually won 2 in a row. They're red hot. Get the fire extinguisher out. Put them out. They're on fire. UL Monroe. 2 wins in a row. Jacksonville State and then Troy, a shocking victory, to be quite honest, against Troy. 23.5-point underdogs, 29-16. Troy's program has fallen apart since Larry Blakeney retired a few years ago. Really, I mean, they have not been the same Troy football program. And we'll give UL Monroe credit. I mean, they found a way to win. They've got a mismatched coaching staff. Terry Bowden, Rich Rod is the OC, blasts from the past. They've got Rhett Rodriguez, the quarterback, Rich's son, who's been okay, but his numbers still aren't great. I mean, the passing numbers aren't great. And you're going from Monroe or Troy last week to Coastal. Thing with Monroe is I'm not ready to trust them yet that that's a turnaround. But I've seen some life from them now 2 games in a row that I'm not rushing to bet against them either. So it's a pass for me. I could see Coastal winning by 35+, but I could also see Monroe hanging around and maybe staying inside what's a very big number. So I'm going to stay off the game. Connor, what do you think? Monroe, Coastal.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's the same thing with me. I could see him staying right in this one and covering. I got to see more. Yeah, how bad's Troy, the program, kind of going down? But UL Monroe, I'd take the points. I think Coastal, they had a big win and covered against UMass. But And we'll see with their defense. I thought it was a little leaky, so I think if UL Monroe can get a touchdown or two, they can cover this one.
Yeah, I think Chip Lindsey's on the hot seat. I mean, I've not been impressed with the direction of that Troy program under his tutelage right now.
Yeah.
Big Ragoo, what do you think here, Monroe and Coastal?
Yeah, I think Coastal was licking their chops, thinking, taking on UMass and then Monroe. But Monroe, believe it or not, has stepped it up defensively, and that's what kind of kept them, getting in those numbers and the W's to boot. So, I mean, that's a lot of points. Are they going to be up, get up for this game to kind of blow them out by 35? They could, but, I don't trust it. And I would have to lean UL Monroe if I was getting to the window with anything, but I'm not going to get to the window. Maybe an in-game bet if they score early, possibly. We'll see. Maybe I get 45.
Yeah, that's a good point. That could be the case. Yeah, JT Daniels is out there throwing the football in warm-ups, but, he's wincing as he's doing it. So it's still very much up in the air if he's going to play or in this game. DJ Big Boss, what do you think here? Monroe, Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina got a chance to open up last week, and we talked about them getting a chance to blow off a little steam.
They sure did.
This UL Monroe, it's a different battle right here. Something like either you're going to take the points and ride with them, or you leave the game alone, because we know that Coastal has struggled. Like, even last year when they did so well, some of those games came down to some miraculous plays, and they're a veteran group right here. They know they don't got to beat every team all the way out the stadium. They just got to win enough to get to where they're trying to get. So that's a good look for them. But over here with Bowden and UL Monroe, they offer something to the game a little different. Like, Coastal only been in the conference for a few years, and here comes Bowden. I'm sorry. Here comes Bowden and his coaching staff. You don't have no look on, what they doing, or, it's a new thing right there. And that's what Coastal was taking advantage for the first few years in the conference too. Like, nobody knew what they would bring to the table. So he may be bringing something a little different to the table that could change the game in this one. So if you're going to have any value, take the points.
Yeah, I think Biden's a little too decrepit, too senile, a little too old to be playing college football at this point.
Bowden. I had a long night, y'all. I had a long night.
Yeah, I think so. I heard it. It's still funny. Good for a laugh, no doubt. Next up, we've got, as we continue along here, obviously, it's Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois next up. We've got Pick'em right now in this game, 61-62 the total. Now, I thought initially the wrong team was favored, but now it looks like Eastern Michigan is moving toward Pick'em and being the favorite. So flip of favorites. And I agree. I think Eastern Michigan's the right side here. I think they win. Chris Creighton, I'll take him over the Northern Illinois coach. Northern Illinois is still being priced highly because of the Georgia Tech win in week 1. They got badly outgained in that game, outplayed, in that game. So don't be fooled by the win against Georgia Tech. They should have lost the game. They got outplayed. Georgia Tech made a lot of mistakes. I don't like Rocky Lombardi at the quarterback. He was no good at Michigan State. He hasn't been that good here at Northern Illinois. They've had a lot of turnover luck. The defense has made stops. That's why Northern Illinois has won the games they've won. I like Eastern Michigan. They're starting to get it going. Chris Creighton, a good coach, and they've been money on the road. 14-5 against the spread on the MAC road. Terrific. 25-10 as an underdog. The last 35 tries as an underdog. ATS for Eastern Michigan. And look, they benched Preston Hutchinson, the quarterback from last year, and they brought in Ben Bryant, Wisconsin transfer now as the quarterback, and he's played great. And I think they found something in him at quarterback. He's played very well. He's thrown the football well. They've got great balance in their offense. I think Eastern Michigan gets it done. I like them to win. I'm on Eastern Michigan here. Conor Mac, what do you think?
This was a pass for me. I lean Eastern Michigan. I don't trust Lombardi either. At Michigan State, he wasn't any good. They played well those first couple of weeks, but you're right. Eastern Michigan's kind of took the money, and I'd be on them if I were to take a side here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I don't have a play either, but I think I might tell you on this one, doing a little bit of research after the fact. Yeah, you're right about that Northern Illinois. That first W, they have a little more. I guess people would put a little more stock in that game, even though they won, but they didn't outplay them. So, and then it looks like Eastern Michigan's offense has picked up nicely. That went over Texas State. So it's either Eastern Michigan or pass is probably a tail for me on your side.
And I lean over as well, but I like the side more. DJ Big Boss, what do you like here?
It's a pass for me, but I gotta say, with much respect, that I'm learning more and more about Eastern Michigan each year with Ian on here. His breakdown of the team is, phenomenal.
EMU.
So I'm learning a little more. So if I had to lay it, I'd probably lay it on EMU, just because each week Ian comes in and gives us nice, good little chunk of information about this team. But I still haven't studied them close enough to be out giving out a play. But yeah, let's go EMU.
All right, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, one of the games of the day. We've got Cincinnati favored by less than a field goal on the road in South Bend. The total 50.5. For Cincinnati, look, they've already passed one test at Indiana, 38-24. They won that game. This is their next test, right? How can you go? Can you go on the road and take down Notre Dame? That's the question. When I look at this Notre Dame schedule, though, first of all, they haven't had a bye week. It's been one barn burner after another. The Florida State game, overtime. Close escape against Toledo. Purdue was 27-13, but that was pretty competitive most of the way. Last week, a physical game, grueling game. What a battle. And I know they take over in the fourth quarter, but and it shows 41-13, but come on, they had a kick return touchdown, Chris Tyree. They had 2 pick sixes. I mean, that was definitely not a 41-13 type of dominant final score by any stretch for Notre Dame. They've got quarterback concerns. Jack Cohen got banged up in the Wisconsin game last week. He's currently questionable. Brian Kelly's been playing coy all week, saying that both Jack Cohen and Drew Pine, who stepped into the game last week in absence of Cohen, they both got reps in practice this week, so he's not giving out any info in terms of who's going to be in there. I think Cincinnati can win. I mean, I think this is where Notre Dame could hit a physical wall. I mean, look at these games: Florida State barn burner, Toledo barn burner, Purdue close game, Wisconsin not only a big game, close game for the most part, physical game. That took a toll on Notre Dame, obviously playing a physical Wisconsin team. Now you got to do it again against another team that's going to play you tough defensively, physical at the line of scrimmage, Cincinnati, and a quarterback in Desmond Ridder who can do a lot more than Graham Mertz did with his legs, with his arm, with a good receiving core, a good O-line. I think it's a big ask for Notre Dame, and another big game sometimes where you worry about their gas tank a little bit. And, of course, their quarterback situation is dicey. I think Cincinnati can get the road win here. I wouldn't want to lay more than a field goal, but at less than a field goal, for me, it's the Cincinnati Bearcats in this game. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, but this is a big ask for Cincinnati. But like you said, this kind of been circled on their schedule. This is the biggest game for them if they want to go undefeated. We talk about it. I never want to lay points with Notre Dame for the most part. But like last week with Wisconsin, catching points are right here. I take a money line. I think this game's close. So you can take the couple points, or I just lean Notre Dame. I think they could win outright.
I mean, and you look at the quarterbacks lately they faced. Toledo's quarterback play, I've not been enamored with it. Purdue has struggled at quarterback this year. Graham Mertz stinks. I mean, when's the last time Notre Dame played a really, really good quarterback? They're going to see one today in Desmond Ridder. Big Ragoo, what do you like here?
Yeah. You talk about playing tough games. I know when Cincinnati opened up with Miami O and Murray State, then they took on Indiana. Now, early in that game, that Indiana game, they had some – it was rough going for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They looked too sharp early. And I was thinking, when they play Notre Dame in 2 weeks, I said if they come out that way, they might not escape that game at all. They won't have the opportunity to come back like they did on Indiana. But Notre Dame being, coming out of that physical game, back with Wisconsin and Cone being banged up, it's going to be a game time decision for me. But when I first looked at the game initially, not knowing about Cone's status, I like Notre Dame at home because they're battle tested to me. They're in the big games, and whoever comes out of this game here, we're talking college playoffs. There's no doubt about it. So I like Notre Dame. If Cone's a go and he's healthy and I get good reports on him, I'm going to get to the window with Notre Dame money line.
All right, lean into Notre Dame, especially if Jack Cohen plays, but we got to wait on that. We won't know till closer to kickoff, which is still 3 hours away. And DJ Big Boss, who loves his Notre Dame Fighting Irish, what's he think of them today?
Hey, let's go back to last week. Them 2 pick sixes, we meant to do that. That's how my over got over on them. So I've been spot on. I've been spot on the
That's a brutal beat if you had the under for sure, because you had 3 non-offensive touchdowns by Notre Dame all in the
at
fourth
the
quarter.
end too. Took it wide over, man. I loved it. But like I said, I've been going back and forth with the book on the total. They go high, I go low, they go high, and it's been wonderful. But it's not even enough time for me to talk about this game, but I just say in the past, I even said, from the beginning of the season, Notre Dame was a ticking time bomb till we caught an L. But like I said, you keep giving us a window for improvement each week, and it's obviously helping. We played a stand-up game against Wisconsin right there, and people had us as a 5.5 point dog. That was ridiculous. But I think what it really is, Notre Dame is down on one knee right now. And, Notre Dame is kind of like the Yankees and the Patriots. You either love us or you hate us. And we on one knee right now. So here comes all the haters throwing the kitchen sink at us. So it's tough. I wouldn't advise nobody to bet Notre Dame, but I'm going to bet it. But I would go right over into the total on this one. So last week was one of those games. Kelly said at the beginning that he was going to play tug of war with this coach when he came out there and try to gain more possession. So I don't think he can come back out at home with the same mentality. I think he's got to open it up. This is not the first time we ran with two quarterbacks. Back in the day, we had, I think it was Zaire and one of those other, I can't think of those. Those guys go, Notre Dame quarterbacks change every month. But we ran the dual quarterback system before. Kelly, he's in charge of those guys 100%. He even knows when to make, pull a guy and make some decisions. So, I mean, I think we got a big time chance to win. I watched the press conference with Kelly. Kelly was like, one of the greatest things that could pull them together that I found in the press conference. He said, it's been years since they was able to travel on the bus. And after that big win at Soldier Field, he said we got on the bus and bumper to bumper traffic. And he said we got a chance to eat pizza together. And so the camaraderie is high. And this guy, Kelly, he is enlightening to fresh young kids. It's only once these kids start making a mind of their own, they destroy their careers. But I think he has the troops. He has the troops under. We only really lack at quarterback. We're getting the offensive lineman back this week. And when that offensive lineman went down, we brought in a younger guy, and he did well. So actually, we gained a little depth this week on offensive line. So maybe we can actually run the ball. But I think the running back there, he's just a little light in the ass. We need a dual boom type back system back there to really be effective. But I think Kelly goes straight to the air first play of the game. He's got to put some points on the board. We at home. The total's down at 51, so they going low. I'm going high again, so I'm saying over in the Notre Dame game, and I'm secretly by myself definitely betting Notre Dame on the main line.
All right, like in Notre Dame, rolling with the Irish here to stick it out. They've been the masters of finding a way. Close games, games where it looks like they can't do anything offensively, but then they get a kick return touchdown. They get 2 pick sixes like last week. They just not found a way so far. We'll see if they can do that again. Syracuse, Florida State. Florida State 5.5 point home favorites, 51 the total. Big Ragoo said, I think a couple weeks ago, last shot maybe to give Florida State a chance, and unfortunately, they let everybody down once again. Last week against Louisville. I said enough's enough. I'm taking Syracuse here. They've got a defense this year. And I like the way they're playing on defense. They've flustered Liberty and a very good quarterback and a very good offense for much of that game, and they won it. I think talent-wise, there's no doubt Florida State could be 6-point favorites, could even be higher based on the talent between these two teams. But they're not winning games with this talent. They're finding ways to lose. I don't know what it is. They're making mistakes. They've had breakdowns defensively. The offense has been underwhelming. Syracuse, I don't worry about a letdown because there's no letdown, even though it was a big win against Liberty at home last Friday night. When you play Florida State on the road, you should be fired up to play that game. And look, Garrett Schrader is not great at quarterback, but I think the Mississippi State transfer has shown a lot more than Tommy DeVito ever did for Syracuse. So at least they've got a quarterback that can make some plays, at least throwing the ball. Run it. The defense has been good. I think it's a tight game. Florida State doesn't win games much at all right now, let alone win them by margin. So this number, it's Syracuse plus the points for me. Connor, and lean under. I think it's actually lower scoring. Syracuse has a defense. Florida State's offense is out of sorts. And Syracuse's own offense isn't explosive. And Dino Babers isn't going up tempo anymore. So this could be lower scoring as well. Connor, what do you think? Houston, FSU.
Yeah, Syracuse has a defense. The defense travels, and that's why I lean the under as well. Yeah, until Florida State starts winning games, let alone, you can't take them to cover. Good luck if you want to. I got to wait and see what that goes. So, I lean the under. I lean the points with Syracuse.
Yeah, we're at that point. Can we really trust Florida State at this point, laying points, regardless of who they play? Big Ragoo, what do you think of this program?
I got my new Florida State shirt on. Look.
There you go. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse.
That's where they belong in the Mickey Mouse League right now. But I tell you, I want to put Adam Fuller's head. You know who Adam Fuller is? He's a defensive coordinator. When he came along with Norvell last year, you could write off year one basically, but there has been no step forward for this defense whatsoever. And both even the offensive line is struggling again. So at least they have improved under that regard. A little better in Taggart, but the defense is in shambles right now. So they're out of their league, the coaches in this spot. And with Syracuse's defense coming in, I think it's going to be another long day for Florida State.
All right, DJ Big Boss, Syracuse, Florida State.
I'm siding with defense on this one, and I'm going with the under. I mean, you got a Florida State team that's bleeding on offense, so they got to tread lightly. You got a tough defense that's coming there to prove something, and the Syracuse team could be a under team for the rest of the year. So I'm hopping. If you're gonna hop on the train now and take that ride with the under in Syracuse.
Tulane, East Carolina. Tulane 3-point road favorites, 64.5 the total. I'll be brief because I mentioned this game on Monday's show earlier this week as well. I like the over here. Two good quarterbacks, Michael Pratt for Tulane, Holton Ahlers for East Carolina. Two suspect defenses. The offenses are the superior units on these two teams. Big play potential for both teams through the air, on the ground too, because Tulane can run it. More so through the air for East Carolina. Both teams play above average pace and tempo. I think we see points. I'm not on either side. I just think we see points here. Tulane, East Carolina over 64.5. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, two bad defenses. East Carolina was a little better, but UAB is not really great offensively. I lean over. I didn't bet it. I didn't get up and over the total, but I'd be on East Carolina here, catching the 3, and even maybe look at a money line.
Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I didn't really put a lot of work into this game, so it is a pass for me. I can't help but chat on this one.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
Dead over for me. These defenses is bleeding, giving up. Tulane's giving up 449, and East Carolina's giving up 487 total yards a game. So we got almost 1,000 yards to get put up today. But I like what ECU does on offense. They got a lot of streaky wide receivers and stuff. They know how to get open and score the ball. So I think it's going to be plenty of scoring in this one, but I won't lay it because it's a little too high. If it was maybe 62, maybe 60, 61, I might be interested in laying it. But laying that, 64 or 65?
64.5. Yeah, it's right there.
You can get caught up right there.
All right, we have Troy and South Kakalaki next up. South Kakalaki, South Carolina, 6.5-point home favorites, 44 the total. I lean under. This definitely has an under written all over it. Troy's offense has kind of gone in the tank. And it goes without saying their offense has gone in the tank, where they can barely crack double digits against UL Monroe last week. It's been rough. Chip Lindsey's got to be on the hot seat, like we said earlier. It's been very disappointing to see this offense really stumble. Taylor Powell, it's kind of gone backwards. They couldn't run the football last week against UL Monroe, which is shocking. And now they got to play South. Now, I know South Carolina played Georgia, very, very exerted a lot of energy in that game, playing a great Georgia team. And this is a non-conference game, and then you're back to SEC play. So is it a flat spot for South Carolina? Perhaps. But I would lay the points in a heartbeat before I take Troy in this game. And I like the trajectory of the program under Shane Beamer. Yeah, Zeb Noland and Luke Doty, who just came back from injury, are decent quarterbacks. They're not great, but they've got a defense. And if Troy can't move the ball against Monroe, and South Carolina's had a pretty solid defense this year, how are they going to move it against South Carolina? I don't love the number, but it's small bet for me still on South Carolina, because Troy could be that bad now. And I think these are two. I think the difference in coaching is there too. I like Shane Beamer. I think he's proven some things already, and that he's going to be maybe a good hire for South Carolina. And like I said, program for Troy has gone backwards under Chip Lindsey. So at less than a touchdown, it would only be South Carolina minus the points for me. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
It's my second home team is South Carolina. Those of you who know me. But the other week when they were playing, when he played Georgia, that was like I tell you, the gut check. The gut play for me was the over 7.5 team total best bet. It cashed. And this one here, even though my numbers show on paper that Troy may be overvalued with that number, because of the production they've had on the field. You got to look at who they played, like you said, Ian. And I just think the SEC out of conference matchup here, even though it doesn't show it for me, there's another gut play for me. I'm going to go with the Gamecocks here at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's at home, too. This game's in South Carolina. They're only laying 6.5 to Troy, who just lost to Monroe last week. And I know their offense is questionable. I definitely know that, South Carolina. They struggled against Kentucky last week, no question. They had a rough offensive game, but Kentucky's a pretty like I've said all year, I think Kentucky's a lot better this year. So I don't penalize South Carolina too much for coming up short in that game last week. DJ Big Boss, what do you think here?
I think we might have South Carolina right here at a good price due to recency bias. Like Big Ragoo said, the class difference between Troy and South Carolina is huge. So it's not reflecting that in the number. The number should at least be 7.5 or 8 or more. So I find a lot of value taking South Carolina team with this Troy team that might be, nosediving right now.
Yeah, I agree there. Ohio State and Rutgers. Oh, yeah, keep it exactly. It seems like it's a little short number for sure. Ohio State and Rutgers. We've got Ohio State 15-point road favorites, 58 the total. Like Ohio State skill-wise, talent-wise, recruiting-wise, they could possibly be 17, 21 points better than Rutgers, no doubt. But there's issues. The defense hasn't been great. C.J. Stroud's back today at quarterback, but how's he going to be? He hasn't played in a couple weeks. And all Rutgers does is fight, battle, scrap, compete. Good defense under Schiano, a team that's 4-0 against the spread this year. I've been on Rutgers most weeks, including last week against Michigan. And I know people, were giving me grief saying, how can you trust Rutgers? Well, wire-to-wire point spread cover. They hung in the game, only lost by 7 on the road against Michigan last week. That's all they do. They find ways to hang in there. Do I love their offense? No. Noah Vidral is an average quarterback, but they run the football a little bit with Pacheco. They rely on the defense, and there is a gap with these two teams defensively right now. Ohio State has been poor defensively most of the year, and Rutgers has just been undervalued from day one. They've covered every spread. I'm riding them until they don't cover one. Give me Rutgers here, plus 15. And remember, this is in Rutgers, too, and that crowd's going to be fired up. They've got some love for Rutgers. That fan base, that student base is back into the football program again, thanks to what Schiano's done in a year and a bit. So I expect a good atmosphere there in Piscataway this afternoon. Give me Rutgers plus more than 2 touchdowns. What do you think, Big Ragoo, Ohio State, Rutgers?
I like the look on Rutgers at home, catching that big number. I think Ohio State can score. We know that, but he's got a well-coached group of kids. They don't make mistakes. They take care of the football. They're ball hawk. So that could bode well for them. But I would actually look to the first half number. I'm curious to see what that is. I might find a little bit of value there coming out early with catching points at home with Rutgers.
9. Plus 9 for Rutgers.
9,
first half.
Yeah. I might take the full game.
Yeah, that's actually plus 8 at some spots, plus 9 at others. So make sure you shop around. There's a wide range of different current prices with it in terms of the first half line in that game. DJ, what do you like here?
Man, I'm not messing with Ohio State till further notice. Man, they act like badass teenage kids. Sometimes they come out and play with a little respect, and then sometimes they just assholes all over the field. So I don't trust them. But I don't trust Rutgers that much as well. So I'll be off the game. But Ryan Day, I don't know. He might be this whole Ryan Day thing. It might be going the wrong way, man. And Urban Meyer, he doing horrible in the NFL too. So the whole ship is sinking.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, but this year they're definitely having some issues. I mean, he's actually recruited extremely well, Ryan Day, and of course they get to the championship last year against Alabama. But this year's not been a great year so far for his team, and we'll see if he can right the ship today. Well, not right the ship today, but win the game, which they very well should and could. But I just think it's a lot of points there in that one. We got Conor back. Conor, did you like anything Ohio State Rutgers?
Yeah, I got to take Rutgers. We talked about this earlier in the week. I just think they're the better defense right now. I think down the line, Ohio State might, they're the more athletic team. Obviously, they have the 5-star recruits. But I got to take Rutgers. Like you said, they're undefeated against the spread. I've been on them. I got to go one more time with the double-digit dog catching over 2 touchdowns at home.
Nevada, Boise State. We've got Boise 5-point home favorites on the blue turf, 59 the total in this game. I said on the Monday show I like Nevada. I still like Nevada. Now the numbers come down a bit, but they're off a bye week since that loss to Kansas State a couple weeks ago. A chance to rally the troops for Jay Norvell. Carson Strong, great quarterback. Now they did lose one of their best receivers to injury. Big loss for Nevada. I understand that, but I still think they'll be fine off the bye. They'll have a good game plan, a good chance to bounce back strong. Boise still long-term hasn't been good laying points at home on the blue turf. And I think, look, when you look at this Nevada team, I think they've got a better game in them here. They're always good in the they've been very good in the underdog role of late. And look, Boise's been still hit or miss. I mean, the Utah State game, I keep saying that, and I said it on Monday. If Utah State doesn't have turnover on downs and fourth down stops and missed field goals, they constantly got the ball into Boise's territory and couldn't do anything with it. Otherwise, that could have been a different game. It was 27-3 Boise last week, but they got outgained. So I think Boise's a little overvalued off that win. Great spot for Nevada. Catching points with a good quarterback. Give me Nevada. Conor Mac, what do you think? Nevada, Boise State.
Yeah, I haven't been able to figure out Boise this year. And I know Reno's coming off the bye, but I wanted more than a touchdown. I think we talked about it earlier in the week. I wanted over 7 here. I'm just lukewarm and getting +5, so it's a pass.
Right, big Ragoo.
We know Boise's dominated the series, right? 9 out of the last 10 straight up. But they have been a little on shaky ground covering some numbers of late. So I'm off the game both ways. Even though I think it might be a good spot for Nevada coming off the bye, but I'm with Connor. I like to see a little stronger number here.
All right, DJ, what do you like? Nevada, Boise State. You're the Mountain West king.
Hey, I don't really trust Nevada as far as I could throw them, but this Boise State team, they had a bunch of flaws, and they're improving as the season go on. You keep leaving the door open for them. They're coming for their Mountain West crown again. So I lean Boise. I'm staying off the game overall though, but I don't see much. Jay Norvell, he's not the greatest coach to me, and Carson Strong, he's not. Their biggest asset is they've been together for so long, but what have they done in this period of time that they've been together? Get beat by Boise year in, year out, come out year in, year out as the favorite to win the Mountain West, and they fail every time. I think it's another failing season for Nevada. They don't beat up on Boise at all, and Boise gets the win, but I don't know if they could cover it and all that good stuff. But I'm down on Nevada and up on Boise.
All right, we've got in this next game now as we continue along. Oregon Stanford first. Pac-12, Oregon 8.5 9-point road favorites, 58 the total in this game. Tanner McKee, we've noted that Stanford's offense has been better since he's taken over at the quarterback spot and didn't play that badly last week against UCLA. But the problem was for Stanford, they struggled defensively against UCLA. Couldn't stop DTR in that offense. They gave up, almost 500 yards and a 35-24 win. And it won't be easier against a pretty good Oregon offense either. Anthony Brown, CJ Verdell and company, pretty good offense for Oregon. But laying points on the road with Oregon, I'm not sure I want to do that. Now, Stanford is a home dog. I bet them last week against UCLA. They didn't cover. Now you're getting more points with them this week, and I still lean to Stanford a little bit, plus the points here in this game. Look, they've done well in the past against Oregon, some better Oregon teams too. So I lean Stanford. The total might actually be a little bit high. Oregon plays, when Oregon had Chip Kelly guys, they played as fast as can be. They're playing extremely slow on offense now under Cristobal. They've slowed it down, ball control, run the football a lot. And look, Stanford's got a better offense, but they still play pretty methodical. So this total might be a little high, in my opinion. But lean Stanford. What do you think, Con?
Yeah, they run it so much. It could probably, it could stay just under the total. I could see this. But Stanford at home, I'd still lean over. I know that game pushed with UCLA last week at 59. I think it's kind of similar. Yeah, and on the side, I can't. Money's coming in on Oregon. I can't lay 9 points now with them, 8.5, 9. I'd be on Stanford and the points here. All
right, Big Greg.
Hey, we know Oregon had its best effort against Ohio State a little bit back ago. I think there may be a little bit of an overlay with the number here, a little better than a touchdown on the road here. Oregon's my favorite team in the Pac-12. I like them a lot, but this is a bad spot for them, I think.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
Man, I love Oregon today, and I'm laying the 9. Well, I got it at 8, but I would lay the 9 if I had to lay the 9 as well. But I like Oregon in this one. Cristobal says this is his best team. His best team this time. He's playing stale, plain potato salad Stanford with Brian Shaw over there. Like, he's not going to bring much to the table. Cristobal is a way forward thinker, way more innovative, way more up-to-date coach than this guy. I think Stanford just got by their chin on a few games and kind of looked good going in the regular season. But I think Stanford takes a big step down. It's time for Brian Shaw to leave Stanford, man. They need to do something different if they want to, get somewhere in this college football game. But I think it's a good game for Oregon to come in and whoop some ass.
All right, Central Michigan, Miami, Ohio. We've got pretty much a pick 'em here, 56 the total. I like Central. Central's a covering machine in the MAC. Jim McElwain's done a great job here, 16-8 against the spread their last 24. They played Missouri and LSU, 2 SEC teams already this year, Central. So they're battle-tested. He actually switched quarterbacks last week against FIU. Sermon struggling. They put in Daniel Richardson, who's been here for a while, and he played well. He sparked that team against Florida International last week. And look, a little bit of a scare in that game, but I'd favor them on the road here. I think they could win this game. I like the over as well. I think they'll put up points. They've got a good offense, still a little bit of a leaky defense, but Miami, I've been impressed with Brett Gabbert, the quarterback for the Red Hawks. He's played well. I expect both teams to light it up a little. So I like Central to win. I like the over as well. Conor Mac, what do you think?
This one was just a pass. I had nothing here. Basically, I had it as a pick 'em, and either side, it's just a total pass for me, and on the total.
Nothing wrong with that. Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I lean to the over in this spot. I think both teams are going to do a good job putting points on the board here. I know Miami Redhawks. They had the loss of Army early on here, but Army's been a solid team. Maybe slowed them down offensively a little bit, but if you look at the other games, they're just scoring points. So I lean towards the over in this spot with Central Michigan, Miami O.
By the way, a note about UL Monroe. Rhett Rodriguez is not playing today, so beware of that. It's Colby Suits, or it's going to be one of either Colby Suits or let me just see, Chandler Rogers at quarterback for Monroe, and neither one has thrown many passes at the college level. So keep that in mind for Monroe today against Coastal. DJ Big Boss, what do you like here with this game, Central and Miami O?
All I can hear is Mac equals over to me. Maction is always over action. Okay, so I like the over in that. I pretty much like the over in mostly all the Mac games, especially when they on during the week. So this is a little different when being on the weekend, but I like those Mac overs.
Well, here's another MAC game. Bowling Green, Kent State. Kent State 16-point home favorites, 56.5 the total. I like Kent here a little bit. Again, it's laying a tall number, but is Bowling Green ready to withstand the prosperity of that massive upset against Minnesota? To be honest with you, this could honestly be a tougher offense for them to have to stop defensively with Dustin Crum and that up-tempo Kent State offense under head coach Sean Lewis. I think this could be more difficult for Bowling Green's defense. And again, they're off one of the biggest wins you'll ever have. And so you'd think people are going to love taking Bowling Green. The public might like taking them after winning last week, and yet the money's come in on Kent, and the line's gone up on Kent. So I think that tells you a little something. And I still like this Kent State team quite a bit in terms of being a MAC East Division contender. I think Kent -16 is the way I would go in this one. This one, if you like Kent, you probably lean over. If you like Bowling Green, you got to lean under. Because if Bowling Green's going to cover, they've got to keep this low scoring. They don't have much of an offense, but they have a pretty much improved defense. So it's probably over if you like Kent, under if you like Bowling Green. Connor, what do you think?
Well, I like Bowling Green here. I just think it's too many points with Kent State to lay it here. I think Bowling Green's defense, that's what you talk about, it's improved. So, yeah, if I were to be on the total, I'd lean under as well. Just too many. I think too many points here. I think they keep it close.
All right, Big Ragoo, what do you think, Bowling Green and Kent?
Yeah, I looked at this game and I couldn't come up with a side or a total, and it passed for me. But I know both teams aren't as good as they could be. But like DJ says, a bum fight for me, so I passed on it.
Yeah, they are 4-0 against the spread. I understand that. And usually that's breaking tradition for me. Usually I don't bet against those teams that are perfect ATS, but I just think it's a miserable. I worry about this team. When you have that kind of win, can you bounce back, play well the next week? We'll see. But questions about that for me. DJ, what do you think?
Well, Kent State has been 4-0 to the under, so I went in this game looking at the under for Kent State. Although it's a little action, these guys been playing some pretty good defense, even though they do score a lot. And this Bowling Green team has been playing good defense as well, but they lack on the offensive side big time. They do about 60 plays a game. They have one of the lowest third down conversion percentages in college football. And I think Kent State gets out there and lets loose and runs the score up on them. So at the end, I ended up taking Kent State, and I kind of left the under alone. So I'm just running with Kent State on this one.
All right, here it is. The big one of the big ones. It probably is the big one of the day. CBS, SEC, 3:30 Eastern, Ole Miss, Alabama. Alabama, 15-point home favorite, 79.5 the total. I'd mentioned earlier in the week, I'm buying into Ole Miss. I believe they can compete in this game. They hung 48 on Alabama last year in the game. They're an even better offense this year, although I don't like hearing Jonathan Mingo could be out with a broken foot, one of their better receivers. So that's breaking news the last 24 hours. But they've still got Drummond and a lot of other good receivers. Jerrion Ely, great running back. Bye week for Ole Miss. Time to prepare for Lane Kiffin. Put some wrinkles, gadgets in that offense and in that playbook. And look, Alabama's faced one good team this year. Throw out Miami. Miami's no good. So throw that out. Don't consider that a good team that Alabama's played. The one good team they played is Florida. And all I saw was Florida go up and down the field, run the football, 245 rushing yards in that game. Alabama escaping with a 31-29 win. I think Ole Miss can do more than enough offensive damage here to be right in this game, compete, hang within 2 touchdowns. I like Ole Miss. As far as the total goes, I know it's 80, but there's no way I want the under. No way. There was 111 points last year, 90 the year before. They're both going to go extremely fast. They both have explosiveness. Bryce Young looks outstanding. He looks like he's ready to be the quarterback for this program. He's been good. We'll find out how good Ole Miss defense is in terms of improved. We think they're improved. How much improved? We're going to find out today. But it's still 42-38, 45-42, something like that. I could see this being that kind of final score in this game. So for me, it's the dog. For me, it's the over. Connor, Ole Miss, Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know if their defense is improved. I love backing Alabama. You guys know that. You do too. First half. And I think they win this game, but I just kept coming back to, the 15 points, and I wanted them here because I think it's, just a shootout. I don't know if it's 63-48, and what was that, 15 points. And now basically we're at 14.5 all around. So I have a bet on Ole Miss catching the points. And over or pass. I think it gets there, even at 79-80.
All right, Big Ragoo, this should be entertaining. What do you like in it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking 80 points, I don't think it's a blowout Bama way. And somebody's got to climb uphill to get to that number, both teams, just by past history and the way the offenses are set up. And, hopefully if you're back in Ole Miss in this spot, they went to school in that Florida game without a doubt. And this is going to be their first big test also coming out. So, we're beating Louisville, Austin Peay, and Tulane early on. But I think catching, more than 3 scores, you're going to need 3 scores here to lose. And a team that can put points on the board, give me the points.
All right, DJ Big Boss, Ole Miss, Alabama.
And I'm agreeing with the team right here on the Ole Miss, but I'd rather take them first half. The Alabama first half can't work forever, and if you're going to pick a spot or a team that's going to be able to be effective with that, it's going to be this Ole Miss team who's chose to use speed opposed to size in this SEC. So that's going to be a different look for Alabama. But what's going to get Ole Miss in the long run is depth. So in the second half, when Alabama unleashes all this pressure and still got depth, then Ole Miss will suffer in the second half. So your best chances at cashing that one, and maybe even sprinkle something on the money line. I think that Saban doesn't always get a challenge, and these guys are going to oppose a challenge because they come in and them switching their whole theory up in the SEC, saying that's kind of like how USC beat people when they had Reggie Bush in them. Like, we're going to take your size and just use speed and go right through it. And it's been working for them so far for Ole Miss. So we'll see how, it's probably was put together for Alabama. So we're going to see how that plan comes together today. First half, Ole Miss.
All right, before we get to our next game, we haven't done this before, and I should have. Do any of you want to use a 12 p.m. Eastern noon game for your best bet, for your true best bet today? Anybody? I'm not, but I think Big
Georgia
Red
Tech.
might. There you go. That's going to be his overall show best bet. Although we might give him a chance to give him another one too at the end of the show when we do
We always
the
got something in our pocket. Don't worry about it.
absolutely. But the best bet of the entire day for Big Ragoo, Georgia Tech +3. What about you, Connor? You going to wait for a later game for best bet?
Yeah, I'll wait for a later game, but I'm with Ragoo there. I'm on Georgia Tech money line too.
And DJ Big Boss, you're going to wait for a later game for best bet?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for some West Coast stuff for best bet.
There you go. So Nasty Nate, there you go. We got Georgia Tech as Big Ragoo's best bet there for the early games. If I had to throw one out there, but it's not my true best bet for the early games, it's probably Tennessee, Missouri over the total, which we actually didn't talk about that game. Holy shit, we did. We skipped it, and it was a noon game. We'll talk about it right now. I like it. It's over the total, Tennessee, Missouri. It's up to 66 now, but Missouri is a team that is all offense, no defense. We found that out clearly. They can't stop anybody right now, Missouri. But Connor Bazelak, good offense. You know what you're going to get with Heupel, whether it's Hooker or someone else at quarterback. I think Hooker's good to go, though, and going to play. I think from last I heard, they'll move the ball against Missouri's awful defense, and they play extremely fast, of course. Heupel bringing that up-tempo, extreme tempo offense with him to UCF. So the over for me, Tennessee, Missouri. That's got 38-35 written all over it, in my opinion. Very high scoring. Connor, Tennessee, Missouri.
I'm with you. I don't think I'm going to bet it. 66 a lot. Yeah, I could see a 41-34 type game. And I lean Missouri at home, but it was just a pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I lean with you to the over, like high 30s both ways, 38, 34, something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It should be high scoring. DJ Big Boss, Tennessee, Missouri.
It's just a lean, but it's probably one of the only times that I'd say I back Tennessee this year.
All right, leaning toward Tennessee. Yeah, it's trust to lay points.
I did that last week. It didn't work out for me.
This is the only one. It's a survivor. It's a survivor pool with Tennessee.
Survivor, yeah. All right.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. All right, we move on now back to the regular schedule. Central Florida Navy, UCF 16-point road favorites, 53 the total in this game. When you look at this game, be careful. Again, Dylan Gabriel, broken collarbone. He's out in debt probably for the rest of the year. So all of a sudden now, if you're UCF, you're down to your backup quarterback, Mikey Keene, taking over at quarterback for UCF. I got to see him play. I don't think Navy's all that great, but Navy's been a little bit more competitive the last couple of weeks. They're going to obviously run the triple option, go slow, and that sometimes keeps them in games. I'd actually take the points with Navy before I lay them with UCF on the road here. I got to see how this Keene kid plays in the absence of Gabriel, but it's a game I'm going to stay off. Connor, anything UCF Navy?
Pass for me too. He was so big to that team and that offense. Yeah, this is a pass. Take the points with home. And Navy's not very good.
No,
so just pass. Yeah, pass.
Yeah, definitely. Big Ragoo.
You know what? Funny, even though Gabriel's out, my ratings had taken Navy in this spot, so I might just get to the window with Navy, and add the fact that Gabriel's gone. So not much of a breakdown here, because we have to wait and see what's going to go on with the UCF offense and how they put that together here. But Navy is not that good, but just on a whim, I would probably take a small play on Navy here.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I mean, I would back Gus and UCF or pass, but if my man Big Ragoo has a play on the armed forces, I'm following his lead because he pays attention to those. Those are usually pass for me.
All right, good stuff. All right, we move on now. Next game, it's Ohio, Akron. Ohio 9.5 point road favorites, 55 the total. I don't think Akron's good at all. In fact, they're terrible. But I took 9.5 with Akron. Ohio just cannot be laying this many points to anybody, I don't think, right now. They're that bad. Frank Solich, the writing was on the wall. He retires in the summer. Anytime a coach retires in the summer, he just knows the program's going downhill and wants out of there. And that's exactly what happened. Look, Akron, we don't know if it's Cato Nelson at quarterback or DeMarcus Irons. And look, they've been very, very rough. I'm not saying that Akron's trustworthy either, but they're the team catching points. And I know enough with Ohio from what I've seen, losing to Duquesne, blasted by UL Lafayette, blasted by Northwestern last week, that they cannot be trusted. Look, I get it. Akron's been pretty brutal as well, but give me the points here. I just don't trust at all Ohio laying almost doubles on the road against anybody right now. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, good job, Nasty Nate. Houston looked great last night. They looked phenomenal. That offense kicked ass all year. And up to then, I had question marks about them. I want the points too. I lean over as well a little bit here at 55. I don't love it, but yeah, no way Ohio should be laying anything, especially on the road. And this Akron team's not very good, but 10, 9.5, give it to me.
All right, Big Ragoo.
This is like catching a falling knife. Either way, you got there's the third road game in a row for Ohio, and like you guys are saying, Akron is not going to set the world on fire. I would look to the over here, like you say, Maction, but I'm not getting to the window either way.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I don't know. This kind of rates a high on my bum fight meter, and I would say,
yeah,
I would say take the home team plus the points. But I'm off this game.
Nothing wrong with that. We move on now to Oklahoma, Kansas State. We've got Oklahoma 12-point road favorites, 52.5 the total in this one. Look, I'm going to have to see Oklahoma put it all together. Both sides of the ball. The offense been out of sync. I don't know. Spencer Rattler's missed receivers. The run game's been spotty. The defense, some games the defense looks good, others it doesn't. Last week against West Virginia, defense played all right. The offense couldn't get anything going. Which is it going to be? Look, Kansas State, rough game for them last week. Will Howard at quarterback, is not exactly someone I love, but back home, something about playing in Manhattan, Kansas. Kansas State usually get their best, and they've given Oklahoma fits. They've beaten them 2 straight years. Now, granted, Oklahoma's probably going to remember those 2 losses and be chomping at the bit to get back at K-State today, but they're not playing the kind of football that I trust in a 12-point road favorite right now against a team that's played well head-to-head against them, that's good as an underdog, especially at home. I'm on K-State here. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't love Howard like you talked about at quarterback, but something about them at home. I think the defense plays well. We talked about him. We didn't want him last week, going on the road, but they're back here. I just don't trust Oklahoma. I mean, they could get it done. Like you talked about, they probably remember those losses, but give me the double-digit dog at home here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
We'll see if the K-State offense can muster up enough to get by Oklahoma. We know the defense is going to show up, and Oklahoma's offense, they've been sputtering along all season. Every year they come out and have aspirations for them to get into the college playoffs, and this is more of a letdown. Even though they haven't lost a game yet, I mean, this could be the right for the taking for K-State for an upset. Like I say, they kind of owned them the past couple of years out, and I'd definitely put them on upset alert here. I'm not getting to the window with it because I don't know what they're going to do on the offensive side of the ball with K-State. But definitely, if you're going to get to the window with Oklahoma, I'd use caution here.
All right, DJ.
For me, the question with Oklahoma each year is, are they going to play any defense? And the answer each year is no. They try, and it just doesn't work. They get off better beating people on their feet on the offensive side of the ball. So I would lean over heavy in this game.
Next game is the Shula Bowl, I believe they call it. Florida International and Florida Atlantic. Rivalry game here. Florida Atlantic, 10.5-point home favorites, 52 the total. To me, Florida Atlantic, Willie Taggart, I don't know if I love the way the program's going, to be honest with you. I mean, that was a brutal game last week for them against Air Force. I know they, it's just, to me, it's a team that I don't know if I'm ready to lay 10 with them in this spot. Florida International, they competed last week against Central Michigan, but before that, they lose to Texas State at home. That's a bad loss. Texas Tech, they get blown out. They're an up-and-down team. When you look at the Owls, N'Kosi Perry, who used to be at Miami, which tells you, how good can he be? That ends up being the question mark. I don't know, just a lot of question marks. I don't know if I love Florida Atlantic laying doubles. I don't know if I trust Florida International enough. It's a tough game overall. I lean FAU slightly, but don't love it. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Shout out to our guy, iHeavy08 with the 1999 dono. We appreciate it. Says, my favorite place to be on Saturday morning. Let's go. Let's get this money. Thanks, man. We appreciate the dono. Everyone hit the like button, too, out there in the chat. We got 220 in here.
Yep. Thank you,
get more.
Yep.
Yeah, you just said it. I can't lay 10.5. with FAU, and I don't love FIU either. I take the points or run, pass.
All right, what do you think, Big Ragoo here, Florida, FAU, FIU?
Yeah, this is the Rich Kids Bowl down in South Florida. Max Bortenschlager, if you can say his name, the quarterback. He's not going to light up the scoreboard, but neither did N'Kosi Perry last week, who went 11 for 33 and 78 yards. So I would lean towards the under in this game. And catching the doubles, that might be a decent look too. But I think Perry might have a better game this time out. We'll see what Butch Davis can put together for these kids. Probably be a decent game. It'd probably be a decent game to take the points, I would think, but I'm not going to take the points.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game that might be, to take the points. It's not always a bad thing. DJ, what do you think here?
That's Florida business. The Florida man, he right there. Y'all listen to what he say. I'm going to stay out of that one.
Yeah.
All right, nothing wrong with
that. There's a pass for me.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing wrong with that. Lots of games. We get to pick which ones we bet. We don't have to. They have to set lines on everything. So keep that in mind. Next up, we've got Texas Tech, West Virginia. West Virginia, 7-point home favorites, 55 the total in this game. Of course, Texas Tech, Tyler Shuck, the Oregon transfer. He's actually played pretty well. He's getting better. He's really starting to get better. Then he goes down with an injury, and he's going to be out indefinitely with a collarbone. And that means Henry Colombi, who's been in this program for a while, takes over, and he's been mediocre at best. I've never seen anything out of Henry Colombi that says, wow, that's a great number one caliber quarterback for Texas Tech. So that worries me. And now you got to go on the road, face this pretty damn good West Virginia defense. I lean to the laying the points here. I think this could get away from Texas Tech, but it's not a great spot for West Virginia. They went balls to the wall against Oklahoma last Saturday night, lost on a last-second field goal. The offense is still spotty enough with Jarrett Dagey that you really want to lay a full touchdown with them, but I would still prefer West Virginia laying the points here than Texas Tech. So lean that way, but I didn't bet it. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, you talked about a tricky spot here. Had it fit seven basically everywhere in the hook. I kind of lean Texas Tech, and that's crazy to say. They got their ass whipped. But Colombi, you talked about, he's been in the program. He's, had 4 or 5 starts last year. He can move the ball. Difficult one. I'd be cautious of laying it with West Virginia. Even though they're really good at home, you just coming off that game with Oklahoma, I'd be leery.
All right, Big Ragoo.
You got question marks going both ways here with Colombi coming in, like Connor said, even though he's familiar with the program, how sharp is he going to be coming out? And Tech's put some, they've had some pretty good games, over 500 yards the last two, and but that West Virginia pass rush is going to be pretty tough to coincide with. So I don't know about laying the wood here, but I think West Virginia gets the W, but maybe doesn't get the number.
All right, DJ, what do you think here?
I made my money off Texas Tech with that over last week, and so I'm gonna try to tread lightly with them. So I'm gonna not get involved with this game, but I love defense, and West Virginia does great defense over there, and you can't just run up in West Virginia and do what you want. So, I like West Virginia. Kind of agree with Big Ragoo saying that they probably win the game, but I can't guarantee you that they cover. But I like the West Virginia in that spot, and staying away from Texas Tech unless I'm betting the overs.
All right, Arkansas State, Georgia Southern. We've got Georgia Southern 2-point home favorites, 66 the total. Total's gone up, and that's what I'm looking at here in this game is the over. I mean, Arkansas State can't stop a nosebleed, and they can't stop the pass. They can't stop the run. They can't do anything. And obviously, triple option here with Georgia Southern. I think they can do whatever they want. Arkansas State's given up 203 rushing yards per game. Arkansas State's defense has given up 5.6 yards per carry as well. That is hideous. And now you got to face this triple option offense. But I like their offense. I mean, Arkansas State, the one thing they've got is an offense, and we've seen that this year. They put up points for this team under Butch Jones, the quarterback. James Blackman, the FSU transfer. Big Ragoo knows him well. He's assumed the quarterback spot for Arkansas State, and he's played very well the last few weeks. And the fact that they gave up 41 to Tulsa last week, what did we just see out of Tulsa last night? They got completely shut down by Houston. So that makes that defensive performance against Tulsa look even worse for Arkansas State last week. So give me the over. I mean, I've been on these Arkansas State overs every week. I'm back on it today, over 65.5, 66. Connor, what do you like here?
This was a pass for me. Even the 2 points, I can't lay it with Georgia Southern. I'd actually take Arkansas State money line if I were to bet this one.
Yeah, tough to trust either team. Georgia Southern's been a mess too. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'm worried about with Georgia Southern, Ian, is them scoring points. They seem to struggle putting points on the board, but they're giving up points too.
Yep.
So, and that bodes well for Arkansas State. But at the same time, Arkansas State's giving up over 42 points a game too. So maybe this helps Georgia Southern's offense out here without a doubt. I don't know about the cover, but I would lean towards the over like you like.
It's actually a big step down in class for the Georgia Southern offense because they played Louisiana Cajuns, good defense, Arkansas's defense. I mean, they played some pretty damn good defenses the last couple of weeks, this Georgia Southern team. So I think that's going to be trouble for them. But you're right. I don't want to lay points with Georgia Southern, in this game either. DJ Big Boss, what do you think?
Hey, I'm all aboard with you with the Arkansas State overtrain. Let's go.
All right. I agree with that. Yeah. Should be a good. Arkansas State will move the ball against Georgia Southern too. They've got a good offense, so I just think we'll see points there. All right, we move along now. Next game on the slate as we continue along. South Florida SMU. SMU 21-point home favorite, 68.5 the total in this game. I love that SMU offense, no doubt. Tanner Mordecai and that SMU offense has looked absolutely terrific so far. No question about that. They've looked awesome moving the football for SMU. Terrific win for them against TCU last week, but the spot's a little tricky. You're laying 21, huge win. They planted the flag right in midfield after the win against TCU last week. Is there a letdown? Is there a hangover? I don't like South Florida enough to take them. That's just a bad football program right now. It's just not the spot I'm looking to lay 21. Maybe SMU team total over, but it's not cheap. It's 45.5. So probably a pass, but SMU, obviously, offensively, they look like a freight train. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, that SMU offense does look really good, but different thing with the teams like this laying over 3 touchdowns. I take the points with South Florida or pass. They've been, they could backdoor cover this easily.
Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yes, South Florida is not the doormat they've been years gone by.
Yeah, they're improved.
Yeah, they definitely improved without question. The only look I would have here, Ian, and the rest of the gang is maybe we know that SMU can put the points up. Maybe they come out fast, and then South Florida gets the back door late in the game. But I would look one way in this game. I would look SMU to cover the first half number.
All right, next up here as we continue along. Thanks to everyone, by the way, for joining us here on this Saturday edition. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate it. Next up, we've got, as we continue along, it is Army Ball State. We got Army up to 10.5 now, 47.5 the total in this game. Look, I like Army as much as anybody. That's a good football team. And look, Ball State's got issues. Drew Plitt isn't playing well. The O-line is just awful for Ball State. They can't protect Drew Plitt. They're not opening up holes for the run game, not giving Drew Plitt time to find his receivers down the field. That's been an issue. I mean, this Ball State offense has regressed this year compared to the way they played last year, winning the MAC championship. So that definitely is a worry. But now you're laying 10 with Army. I don't know if I want to lay that much, but there's enough questions for Ball State that I ain't backing them against this Army team, and they've struggled a little bit against the run. That's not good news against Army. So, but the problem is the best of the line is gone if you like that side. So pass for me, Connor. What do you think, Army, Ball State?
Yeah, it's just 10.5 now. And everybody you talked about, it's been all on Army every week, it seems like, this year. And Ball State hasn't looked good with Plitt so far this season. Just watch out. Everyone kind of Army every week. Everyone's taking them. Just lay the points. I'd be leery in this spot today. All
right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Army's a team I was telling you about earlier last year. Didn't get on them this year, and I'm definitely not getting on them 10.5. So I missed that train early on the week. But it's Army a pass even with that high number. But I won't get to the window with the 10.5. No way.
Right, DJ.
Yeah, it's a pass for me as well, but y'all skipped me on that SMU. The SMU, that's the only spot on the card today that I feel like laying the wood.
Go ahead.
So,
sorry about that. Yeah.
So I'm laying the 21 with SMU today. Fourth year coach. That's one of my favorite spots right there. South Florida. They're not. I mean, Big Ragoo, he's a Florida guy, but I don't see it in them. I don't see that they're doing too much on the field. That's like a fade team for me right now. So here's a chance for SMU to loosen up and score some points and have some fun. So I like laying the wood right there today.
All right, laying the wood. I wouldn't take South Florida. I know you can argue the spot for SMU is a little tricky, but you're right. I don't want South Florida in that game, regardless of the spot or the situation. All right, we move on down the card. Next up, we've got in this next game here. We've still got a bunch left. We'll try to go through quickly on them. Next up, we've got Washington State, Cal 7.5-point home favorites, 52.5. So this, I'm not even going to say anything about this game because this is the one game I knew right away I wasn't betting. I'm not laying more than a touchdown with Cal. That's not the role I like them in. But Washington State, I don't know. It's just not looking good. They're going to have either Delora or Guarantano at quarterback. Rolovich hasn't made up his mind. The program's kind of in a free fall. It's been a bad year, disappointing year. I can't get the thought out of my mind of them getting rocked by 31 points by USC a couple weeks ago. I don't trust them, so I don't trust Cal laying points, and I don't trust Washington State at all. So pass for me. Connor, what do you think?
I feel the same way. I don't want to lay that right here with Cal, and I don't even like the 7.5. I would want to, over 10.5, maybe to think about even Washington State. So it was a pass.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, Cal's going to force you to put the ball in the air because you're not going to run the ball on them. So if Washington State can get a break here and there, they might get to the number possibly. But I don't like laying more than a touchdown with Cal.
All right, DJ.
I would be interested in the under in this one, but being that it's conference play, we don't really know what we're gonna get out of these two. But both can struggle on offense, so it could be a good lean to the under.
All right, Florida, Kentucky. We've got Florida 7.5, 8-point road favorites. SEC East battle. Total in this game currently sitting at around. Looks like. Let me just see here. Where is it? I lost. Hold on. We'll find it. But there it is. 56 total 56. In this one. Yeah. I like Kentucky again. I was on him last week against South Carolina. I like him. Will Levis is a good quarterback. Penn State transfer. Did enough to beat South Carolina last week. Florida on the road laying more than a touchdown. Look, Florida's had some big games. Tennessee is not the same Tennessee, but still a rivalry. Alabama before that. Emory Jones and the offense looks solid. I still think the defense is a work in progress for Florida. And Kentucky's now got an offense. They can run it. And now they finally got a passing game as well. And Kentucky, a couple of years they've had some rough games against Florida. But for the most part, more often than not, Kentucky's been competitive with Florida in recent years. So at more than a touchdown, I like Kentucky here a little bit plus the points. I've been higher on Kentucky than everybody else. And it's not a surprise that I'm on them here getting more than a touchdown. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, Florida's the better team, but this is a tricky spot. I definitely wouldn't lay the 7.5, 8 with Florida. I take the points with Kentucky or pass, and I'm going to pass. I lean over, too.
I lean over as well. I agree. I think they could go over. Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I think the number's ticking up on the total. So that's what caught my eye initially with the 56. I'm like, you know what? That doesn't look like a number that can't kind of be gone over. I know Kentucky's defense is pretty good. They're a well-rounded team. They finally broke the streak, I think last year or the year before, where Florida's owned them in the series. But Kentucky always gives Florida fits with the number for some reason. But I would look towards the over more than anything. I think Kentucky can hang around that number. But I think both teams are going to score in this spot. All
right, DJ, I liking the over there. DJ Big Boss, Florida, Kentucky.
I like the over as well. There's going to be a lot of passing in this game right here. We know with this up-tempo Kentucky offense that they're doing, I think Florida has to match the pace. So I think it's going to be a lot of scoring early and often.
Great, good stuff. All right, next up here as we continue along on this Saturday card, we've got in the next game. Here it is. There we go. We've got Louisiana Tech, NC State. NC State 18-point home favorites, 55.5 the total. Talked about this game on Monday. It's that classic, right, situation. You're off a huge win at home against Clemson. Can you follow it up the next week? I'm not so sure. I mean, it's a lot of points to be laying, and all Louisiana Tech does under Skip Holtz is cover as an underdog. The numbers are staggering how good Skip Holtz has been as an underdog. The one thing I was worried about all week was, would we have Aaron Allen at quarterback for Louisiana Tech instead of Austin Kendall, who is by far the best quarterback for the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. And the good news is he is going to play Austin Kendall, which is huge for them in this game. Look, I mean, they both played Mississippi State. NC State lost to Mississippi State by 14, and Louisiana Tech almost beat Mississippi State. They should have. They only lost by 1, and they blew a big fourth-quarter lead. Louisiana Tech 28-13 against the spread as road underdogs. 9-5 ATS against Power 5 opponents. Austin Kendall being back at quarterback is significant. NC State's, good offense. Devin Leary, good run game, very good defense. But you worry the defense lets up a little bit after the big win. And they had kicking issues last week. They should have put that game away before it got to overtime. The kicker missed a few field goals and kicks he should have made, and that's always troubling if you're going to lay this kind of number with a team when they're having some kicking concerns. So put it all together, and I'm on Louisiana Tech here, plus the points. This is the spot. This is the right role for them. Conor Mac, what do you think? La Tech, NC State.
Yeah, this is their role. You thought like last week, they're favored. North Texas by 12, and win but don't cover. Skip Boltz is unreal as a dog this big. They'll stay in it because their offense. You talked about Kendall's in. That's huge for them. And I also lean over. I think this game gets over the total as well.
All right, Big Ragoo.
I think it's a perfect spot for Louisiana Tech after NC State coming off of that big win, but even more so in the first half. So they might have a little hangover coming into this game focus-wise. So I think you'll probably find a little bit more value on the first half number taking Louisiana Tech.
All right, good stuff. First half, especially Big Ragoo liking that. In this one, UNLV UTSA for our Pub Sports Radio faithful in San Antonio. UTSA 21.5 point home favorites, 56 the total in this game. Look, the spot's a little dubious for UTSA. Huge win against Memphis, but I love that offense. Frank Harris, quarterback. Sincere McCormick, running back. Good receivers, good O-line. I don't like UNLV. I think Fresno State fell asleep more than UNLV looked good in that game against Fresno last week. It's a pass for me. I just don't like the spot for UTSA, but I'm not endorsing UNLV. If UTSA is even somewhat inspired and not, feeling it after the comeback against Memphis and they're ready and they're focused, they could whip UNLV in this game because they are that good. I would want no part of UNLV. Even with the spot being a little shaky, UTSA or pass for me. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, after that big win, though, Leary, I think this UNLV team, I can't figure them out. I think they're more the team, in the second half that lost. I'm just leery. This is a pass for me. I can't lay it now, at 22. I kind of lean UNLV. I just can't take them. All
right, Big Ragoo.
I'm with you guys on this one. UNLV's kind of, I think they came in the last game with the number, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
At Fresno, right? 38-30.
Yeah, 38-30.
They're becoming a UConn all of a sudden. UConn's already stepping up and covering some numbers here. So the shitty teams are starting to get to the number, it seems like. But at the same time, I'm not comfortable either way. We know UTSA is far better at putting points up on the board. So maybe they hang around with that number one more time, but I'm not getting to the window.
All right, yeah, nothing wrong with that. We move on now to Air Force, New Mexico. Air Force, 11.5 point road favorites, 45.5 the total. It's probably a good under, but boy, the total's been hit. I mean, Air Force plays extremely slow with the triple option. Rocky Long, the defensive, at New Mexico now, he's seen the triple option a bunch going back to when he was with the Aztecs. So he knows how to scheme against it, shut it down, get the defense ready against that triple option. But New Mexico's offense sucks. Terry Wilson's just another one of those quarterbacks. He goes to a bunch of different schools and he never gets better. He never improves. And I think that's what we're seeing out of him at New Mexico right now. So I think it's a low-scoring game. Nothing on the side, lean under. What do you think, Conor Mac, Air Force, New Mexico?
This was a quick pass for me. I had nothing. Pass.
All right. Big Ragoo.
It's a pass also for me.
All right, DJ Big Boss, you may have something to say. You're the Mountain West guy, Air Force, New Mexico.
Well, I really like what New Mexico is doing. I think New Mexico might make a move today on this Air Force team. The defense with Rocky Long, he's well familiar with the option. I think they'll have some problems right there. I don't think they'll be able to pass against them either. Like they were able to evade getting stopped on the run and passing a few times for Air Force this year. So this time, I don't think they have that option. And on top of that, I love what they're doing over at New Mexico. The head coach, Danny Gonzalez, him and his boys kind of do the offense. Rocky Long kind of does the defense. So I think it all comes together today and they make some progress and they come out with the W against Air Force.
All right, we move on to Southern Miss and Rice. Rice, 1.5 point road home favorites, 44.5 the total in this game. What's happened to Rice defensively? I mean, that was a pretty good defensive football team last year. under Bloomgren, and now it's just been absolutely atrocious for Rice. The defense has fallen apart. They've given up huge points every week. Houston, Texas Southern, not the same Rice defense, and that's definitely concerning here for Bloomgren and the head coach. And we'll see if they can get the offense righted the ship. Jake Constantine is now the quarterback, and actually he's done a little bit better since he's taken over the quarterback spot. And you look at Southern Miss. Look, I still like the hire of Will Hall, and it's been a struggle for them a little bit early on. They got blasted by Alabama last week, but I think their offense gets something going here against Rice. And I think this total is pretty low, and it's not like Southern Miss defensively is all that great either. Pretty low total. I think you can get over 44.5 personally, Southern Miss and Rice. That's the way I would go rather than either side. I lean Southern Miss. Can't lay points with a struggling Rice defense, so I lean Southern Miss, but I like the over more. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, the line's moved up. I think Southern Miss can score some points here because Rice, that defense is so bad. So I lean over too as well here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, I think Southern Miss has definitely got the better defense and the better offense in this spot. I think the wrong team's favored here. I take Southern Miss on the money line.
All right, Southern. Yeah, I lean to that side as well. Yeah. DJ, what do you think?
Anything with Rice in it is a pass. I'm on keto right now.
Well, hey, I'm a Rice burner because every time I put my money either way when they play, I lose. So just be warned by me on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Some teams just don't treat us well, and that might be one of them. Kansas, Iowa State. Iowa State 34.5 point home favorites, 58 the total. This is a pass for me, just too many to lay with Iowa State. But I think I'm done with the experiment of betting Kansas after the last couple of weeks. I took them against Duke. I took them against Baylor before that, getting big points, and they failed to cover. They could here because that's a lot for Iowa State and a meandering, methodical offense. They don't play fast, but I'm going to stay off. What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, I'm off too. Just way too many points. And yeah, I can't even think about Kansas. No way I'm going to bet them.
Big Ragoo.
There's something in the water in Iowa because both of these Iowa defenses, Iowa State, Iowa, they're fantastic. But I think they'll gobble up Kansas. But are they going to cover that margin? That's a friggin' monster number there, dude. Maybe look to the team total is the only way I can play it possibly. But at the same time, 34.5, I don't want no part of that. Take it or lay it.
DJ Big Boss.
Yeah, I'm not a huge advocate of Iowa State, period. So let alone get out there and lay that kind of number with them. So it's definitely a pass for me.
Baylor, Oklahoma State 4-point home favorites, 47 the total. How about that Baylor win last week against Iowa State as home underdogs outright? Good win. Baylor, Dave Aranda's got that program going up. I mean, definitely. They found Jerry Bohannon, a good quarterback, really good defense here. Look, Oklahoma State's offense is still iffy. I mean, Spencer Sanders, inconsistent offensive line concerns. I don't think they have the skill position weapons at wide receiver like they did last year with Tylan Wallace and others. That's a sketchy Oklahoma State offense. Now you got to lay points against a really good defense. I'm leaning Baylor again this week. I don't like it as much this week because I really like Gundy's team. And Gundy does have a defense. That Oklahoma State defense is really good this year. So under makes sense, but I'd still lean a little bit to Baylor above. It's one of those games. If it was less than a field goal, I'd like Okie State. It's above a field goal. I lean to Baylor a little bit above three in this game. What do you think here, Conor Mac?
Yeah, I think it's right. I want to see more from Baylor. I think they're on the right track like you're talking about. But, yeah, I need more points with them. I lean under a little bit. You talked about Oklahoma State's defense is good.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, this should be one of the better games to watch on the schedule later this afternoon for sure. We keep waiting for Oklahoma State's offense to crank it up a little bit, but it's more on the defensive side for sure, without a doubt. It's kind of a down year for them on the offensive side, but kudos to the Oak State defense. And like you said, Aranda's 4-0. I think they're moving in the right direction. So it's going to be a pass for me. I'm not going to lay the wood or take the points here.
All right, DJ Big Boss, what do you like?
I like the under. It has the perfect makeup for an under. You got two great defensive teams and a bad offense. That should always lean your way towards an under. So I strong lean on the under.
All right, strong lean on the under for for DJ Big Boss in this one. All right, we move on now to Mississippi State, Texas A&M. A&M 7-point home favorites, 45.5 the total in this one. Where's A&M at now in terms of headspace? You're talking about a team that did nothing offensively, shut down by Arkansas last week. And their offense has been rough all year. I mean, they struggled against Kent State to move the ball at times. New Mexico, they didn't do much in the second half. Colorado, they only won that game 10-7. They've got offensive issues. I think Mississippi State can hang around. Their defense have been impressed with it under Mike Leach. Their offense under Will Rogers is progressing. And just, I'm going to dare Zach Calzada and a mediocre A&M offense off a disappointing, disheartening loss to Arkansas to show me they can win by margin. I'm not sure they can. I like Leach in the underdog role, going back to Texas Tech, Washington State, and now here. This is where you want to back Mike Leach teams, getting points, not laying them. Give me Mississippi State here, +7, 7.5. Conor Mac, what do you like?
Yeah, see if you can get the 7.5. There's still just a couple out there. Yeah, until A&M finds a quarterback that can, move the ball of that offense, I don't think they should be laying over a touchdown here. Still a great defense, and I'd lean under. I know it's only 46, 45.5, but I'd still lean under a little bit here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, who would have thought we were talking about the Mississippi State team, a Mike Leach team playing defense, right? We know A&M's got a solid D. We know Mississippi State's playing a lot better defense these days, and the number indicates 46. But one of these teams has got to step out of the box and score points sooner or later, I would think. Maybe they both do here. Maybe, they got us both fooled on the spot. Maybe it's a sneaky overplay here possibly. But definitely on paper, it leans to the under both ways. And I look for one of these teams today to come out and score points.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
It's a pass for me, but it's one that I want to watch. Two quality coaches like Fisher and Leach going head-to-head with these teams that they don't quite have all the way how they want them, together so far. So it should be a good look. Like the contrarian over might be a thing, but, two quality coaches coming to play with a group like that, they both might just take their time in the game and just slug it out. So it's a pass for me, but it's a must watch.
All right, we got Liberty, UAB. UAB 2.5-point home favorites, 49 the total. I lean under here. Liberty's got a defense this year. Malik Willis and the offense still very capable, but Syracuse, give it up to them. They played good defense against Malik Willis last week. UAB's got a very good defense, so they might be able to hold down Liberty a bit. By the way, UAB going to a quarterback change. Tyler Johnston injured, and now they've got to go to Dylan Hopkins, but he's played well at quarterback for UAB. Got Liberty off the, they thought they'd go undefeated, or at least, and that loss, you worry, does that set them back a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. But to me, I'd lean UAB, but I think the under's pretty good here. I think both defenses will be the better units on the field. Lean under the total. Conor Mac, what do you think, Liberty, UAB?
Yeah, and the quarterback change, I like the under even better because of that. UAB, though, catching them, -3 now. And maybe look Liberty, catch the points. I think the game's close. It should be a good one, but yeah, definitely like the under here.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah, it leans to the under. You freeze trying to get the offense cranked up, but UAB is a solid football team, and so is Liberty. It's probably going to be one of the better games to watch too in the afternoon. I think we'll probably see it'll be close to that number. I think they might get to 50 possibly, but I think one way or the other, it's going to have to be on turnovers or something like that for the number to climb up. But I think with UAB playing some tough road games, now they get to come home and play a quality team in Liberty. So we'll see what they can put together here. It looks like a field goal game to me either way.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I lean strong on Liberty taking the points in this one. I like what they're doing over there. They've been coming out playing some quality games. I also stamped the under as well. Liberty played Syracuse, under team, game went under. So, let's not overthink it. Let the math play its way out. So I think the under is a hard lean, but I'm gonna stand on the Liberty side.
All right, we got next game on the slate. Marshall, Middle Tennessee State. Marshall, 11-point road favorite, 66 the total in this game. Rather than either side, look, under Charles Huff, remember, he coached under Nick Saban at Alabama before getting the Marshall head coaching job. And he's brought that, up-tempo and explosive big play offense with him here to Marshall. And they're looking good. Grant Wells looks like he's, liking this offense that Marshall's got going. Middle Tennessee State, I was impressed with their offense last week against Charlotte. Unfortunately, their defense was hideous in that game. And that's been a little bit of the issue for Middle Tennessee State this year. They've not been good defensively. They're probably going to struggle with Wells in this Marshall offense. But on the flip side, yeah, Bailey Hawkman transferred out. Chase Cunningham was good last week. He's a capable quarterback for the Blue Raiders for Middle Tennessee. I think he'll play well. Both offenses are better than the defenses. Marshall will play fast. I like over the total here. Marshall, MTSU. Connor, what do you like?
Yeah, be careful, Marshall. Playing these many points on the road. I think I'm going to pass. And I thought the total, I know there'll be points, but 66, I kind of lean the other way. The under here.
All right. Yeah, it's up there. It is mid-60s. Big Ragoo.
Remember, I was telling you about teams that snake bit. This is the other one for me. Every time I lay, I go against, I get beat with Marshall. So I don't want no part of Marshall. But I'm going to sit back and watch. Both teams are coming off some losses here, folks. Like 3 in a row for Middle Tennessee State, and also Marshall's coming off a double loss too. So be careful whichever way you go.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
It's Marshall or pass for me.
All right, next up as we go along here, we got Boston College, Clemson. Big one in the ACC. Clemson 15-point home favorites, 46 the total. So that's 2 losses now for Clemson. And now this is rare air for them. Does it start to get in the kids' heads? Like, we're not used to this. Losing 2 games already, and we're not even out of September. And they've got to be wondering, I don't trust Clemson at all, laying 15 right now. Not with that offense. DJ Uyungala's under pressure. The O-line's terrible. And Will Shipley, the running back's out for this game for Clemson as well. Key cog. And really the receiving core, nobody stepped up in the receiving core outside of Justin Ross. Nobody else is making a play consistently in the passing game down the field to help DJ out. That's also something that's bothering me for Clemson. Against a good Boston College defense, you could say what you want about Dennis Grosel taking over for Djokovic. We still got to see what he can do on the road against. And Clemson's defense hasn't been a problem. They've still been very good. But I'd still take BC at above 2 touchdowns. And certainly I think this could be low scoring. So I lean under as well. Conor Mac, BC, Clemson.
Yeah, good luck. Is Clemson going to get right? When are they going to get right? I just know it's not going to be with my money here. I'd only be on BC. And, yeah, I lean under. That offense hasn't done anything. And the backup quarter's played well for Boston College. So give me the points.
All right, Big Ragoo.
All right, so when you look at power rating numbers, sometimes your ratings don't catch up quick enough to what's being put on the field. Like right now, I still have Clemson should get to the number, but if you look at the games they played, obviously not. So, I'm gonna take a shot with Clemson here. Just because of what I got on paper, and I know it doesn't translate to what's been put on the field, but sooner or later, hopefully sooner, they get to the window with a casher, and I'm gonna lay the double digits with Clemson today.
As a buy low spot. That's the thing. And there's a lot of people I talked to that said you thought last week was a buy low spot for Clemson against NC State, and they failed to get it done. Maybe is this the week? We'll find out. We'll see. But BC, this is going to be a challenge for Grosel and that BC offense because BC gave Clemson fits last year, but that was Djokovic, and he played well in that game. You don't have him this year. So we'll see what Grosel does on the road against this Clemson defense. DJ, what do you like?
Hey, I'm not looking for love at all with Clemson. I'm staying far away from that. Why? There's so many games on the board. Why would you involve with this team unless you're Big Ragoo and you in Florida and you want to take a shot for the day? But I'm not looking for love.
I have my pockets full by the time that comes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Yeah. There you go. That's right. I'll have money to play with by then. Yeah, Indiana, Penn State. We got Penn State 12-point home favorites, 53.5 the total. I don't know if this is a bargain point spread with Penn State laying doubles, but they won't forget losing to Indiana last year because they should have won that game. They dominated the box score, the stats. They just made so many mistakes, turnovers, and Indiana wins by 1 in overtime. And then the season went off the rails for Penn State after that first loss to Indiana at the beginning of the year. I don't trust Indiana. They haven't beaten anybody good. They haven't played well against anybody good so far this year. Cincinnati, Iowa. And now you got to go on the road, face Penn State. And Penn State might be in the mood after what Indiana did to them last year, that fortuitous win, heartbreaking, and then their season went kaput after that. They would be interested in punching in a late touchdown if they're up late in the game, just to rub it in here. So, and they are the much better defense for sure. And I don't know if Penix Jr. against defenses, he's had a real tough time. So I lean Penn State. It's not a bargain, but I would only look to the favorite. Conor Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, I just think it's too many. I just don't want to be laying this many with Penn State. I agree. I think they'll remember what happened last year. And Indiana's just not very good defensively, but I'm going to pass. I lean Penn State, laying the points, but pass.
Yeah, Sean Clifford's really had a nice season. Definitely taken a big step forward at the quarterback spot for the Nittany Lions. Big Ragoo, what do you think?
Yeah, we're talking 2 scores here, two TDs. Revenge on their mind, Happy Valley. Penn State's rolling right now, but I'm not getting to the window with them. But I might get a little in-game action on this one, fellas. But I'm not going to lay the 2 touchdowns here with Penn State, even though they got revenge and it's in Happy Valley. And like you said, Indiana's got a lot of stuff. We're uncertainties right now, but Penn State's playing pretty good football. But I'm not gonna lay it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of points, but I still lean fair. It's gonna be a stripe out tonight, by the way, at Beaver Stadium there in Happy Valley. It was a whiteout when they played Auburn on a Saturday night a couple weeks, and this time it's going to be a stripe out, which means section will be in white, section will be in dark blue, section will be in white. That's the way it's going to look, like stripes in the crowd tonight. Should be interesting. See how it looks at night on television. Yeah, DJ Big Boss, what do you think?
I talked about Penn State before, man. Just one of those creepy teams. You never know. Like, this one looks like, they should come out successful. They should be able to cover the number. But look at the number. It's at a weird 11.5, 12. Either it's going to be 14 or it's going to be 10, So it's kind of weird right here. I don't know. Indiana might go in there and do something to them. So I'm going to stay away.
All right, nothing wrong with staying away. UConn Vanderbilt. Speaking of staying away, that's what I'm doing in this game. You got.
Come on.
I'm going to stop right there. I mean, I'm not laying 15 with Vanderbilt. Sorry, I'm just not doing that. But UConn, I'm not taking them either. 51. It's. I know UConn's played a little bit better the last couple, but still, I don't trust them enough. And still going on the road against, albeit the worst SEC team. Still going on the road against an SEC team. I don't trust them to do much. And look, Vanderbilt was so bad against Georgia that at least it toughened them up for this game. So if Vandy wins by 17 plus, I'm not surprised. If UConn covers, I'm not surprised. I'm off the game. Connor?
Yeah, me too. I could see it. If I had to do free bet, I'd lay the points with Vandy, but I don't love it.
All right, Big Ragoo.
Yeah. Definitely different class matchup, but how high of a class is Vanderbilt to take on and lay that kind of number? But I'll let my boy DJ, because this is a classic bum fight for us. So take it away, DJ.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if it's got to be something worse than a bum fight in this one, man. Like, I don't endorse this game at all. I mean, I would definitely side with the SEC in this one, but this is beyond the bum fight, man. Beyond bum fights right here. Leave it alone.
Absolutely. It's beyond bum fight. Exactly. It's just absolutely brutal, this football game. There's no doubt. Northwestern Nebraska. Nebraska 11.5-point home favorites, 52.5 the total. I think Nebraska's actually showing some life and showing some improvement, believe it or not. No doubt. I mean, they beat Buffalo in cover. They hang tough against Oklahoma. They maybe should have beat Michigan State last week, but lost in overtime. They're getting better. But I still ain't ready to lay 11.5 with them. Northwestern's done good in the series history. Northwestern is an underdog under Fitzgerald. You will not see me often go against that. Although I am concerned Nebraska's maybe a lot better than Northwestern. Northwestern's looked bad until last week when they played an even worse Ohio team. But that's not saying much, 35-6. What I do like is they changed quarterbacks. Hunter Johnson's a stiff, all right? He couldn't play. He transferred from Auburn. He couldn't play there. He came to Northwestern. He still can't play well. They went to Ryan Helinski last week. South Carolina transfer, and at least he gave them some offense, gave them a little bit of a passing game. He's going to start tonight for Northwestern. I think Ryan Helinski's an upgrade from Hunter Johnson, and I'm going to take the points with Northwestern. Once they get into Big Ten play, that's usually when we get the best from Pat Fitzgerald and his teams, even if they struggle in non-conference like they have. I'm going to play Northwestern here. I worry that maybe Nebraska's quite a bit better than them based on what we've seen to this point, but I still don't trust Nebraska laying this kind of number, so give me Northwestern. Big Ragoo, what do you like?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Nebraska comes away with the W. This is a must-win game for Frost, too, because he's kind of got the team trending in the right direction. Defense playing a little bit better. They're starting to take care of the football a little bit better here, too. And Northwestern, they're kind of trending the wrong way. So I don't know if they get to that number. It'd be risky taking Northwestern plus the points, but I think Nebraska can maybe slip a cover in, but I don't want either team in this spot.
All right, DJ.
Man, Big Ragoo said it best right there. I don't want to mess with Nebraska at home, but I don't want to mess with Nebraska minus that many points either. So I don't want to take Northwestern, even though taking points with Northwestern is kind of where you want to be. They're kind of one of those teams that could backdoor cover and, start fast or something like that. But I'm not messing with Scott Frost, Nebraska. They at home. Sometimes last year, you see total different team playing at home, couple week in, week out type thing. So I'm leaving that one alone.
Yeah,
All right,
catching the points are okay, but laying the points, it's a big number.
Yeah, definitely. It's I like Northwestern there. Western Kentucky, Michigan State. Michigan State 10.5-point home favorites. 66 the total. I like the over, but man, I bet the over when it was like 60.5. It's 66 now. It's just been whacked. But Western Kentucky's gone over the total in every one of their games this year, and a lot of them have flown over the total with room to spare. I think they'll move the ball through the air a little bit against Michigan State, but Michigan State will do what they want offensively. Western Kentucky's got a bad defense. They can run it with Kenneth Walker. They've got it. Peyton Thorne's a good quarterback. He's been solid. I've been impressed with Peyton Thorne for Michigan State this year. They'll move the ball as well. I don't have a strong opinion on the side. I think Michigan State is probably better in the trenches and could win this game by double digits, but you always worry that Western Kentucky is a backdoor scoring machine. They did it against Army. They did it against Indiana. That backdoor is always wide open with Bailey Zappi and that air raid passing attack. So that's the risky part of laying doubles, but I like the over more than anything. Big Ragoo, Western Kentucky, Michigan State.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the Western Kentucky scheme that they run with Zappi, coming from Houston Baptist. They really got that offense cranking up. But I think Michigan State is going to have their way with them. Like I'm capping what you're saying, but I think they can get to the margin. It may be a backdoor possibility, but I'm going to bet the other. I'm going to say that Michigan State gets the job done and covers that number. Doesn't let the backdoor happen here.
All right, so liking the favorite, DJ Big Boss. What do you like?
If you like Michigan State, I think you gotta like the under, and I think I like the under in this one. I think it didn't got a little out of hand. It got high. Yep. Now I give Western Michigan they props on running the ball, passing the ball, all that good stuff. But Michigan State's a different kind of defense, a different kind of beast, a different kind of puzzle to try to figure out. So if I lean with Michigan State and the defense, but I'd rather play it on that big number and take the under than lay those numbers. Yeah,
it's a good look, DJ.
Yeah, you're getting the best of the total. If you like the under, now you bet it. I mean, you're getting the best of the number now with that total, no question. All right, we've only got a few games left here. We're getting to the nitty gritty. We've got UL Lafayette, South Alabama, Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Apparently, they don't want people saying Lafayette. I don't know, but Louisiana Raging Cajuns, Louisiana 12-point road favorites, 52.5 the total in this one. I kind of like South Alabama a little bit. I don't know. Louisiana hasn't been all they've been cracked up to be. The offense has been scattershot. Levi Lewis hasn't been consistent. The run game has declined a bit. The defense hasn't even played as well. South Alabama, Kane Womack was a nice hire from Indiana. Jake Bentley, unfortunately, the one concern I have, even though I lean South Alabama, is how many schools is Jake Bentley going to transfer to before people can figure out he just can't play? First South Carolina, then Utah. Now he's at South Alabama, and he's still been struggling here. At some point, enough's enough, and maybe he's just not good as a quarterback. And maybe we're getting to that point with Jake Bentley. I think it's a low-scoring game too, but I lean dog a little bit. And Louisiana hasn't been a great point spread team this year either. So lean to South Alabama. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Your thoughts are my thoughts exactly. I think Louisiana gets the W. But I think the number's too large here, and I think both teams can play it up defensively. I don't like Louisiana when they're laying double digits, even though, it is when they're playing the bigger teams and they're catching points, that's a whole different story. But when they're in conference play and they're playing teams that kind of play similar, but maybe not as quality as them, but they can play up with them, I think the number's a little too strong there. But I'm not going to get to the window. I lean South Alabama, and I lean under.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
I think recency bias with South Alabama got the number where it is. I think the number should be a little bit higher. We're going into conference play right here. Yep. This is, they trying to mix you up, guys. They're trying to mix you up. You got to straighten this out. Louisiana's way more quality in the conference in the Sun Belt than the South Alabama team. Even though the South Alabama team they've done a little stuff and coming up, playing a little better, but they don't get paid. The big dog's gonna come home, big brother gonna beat them up. So I'll lay the points and take Louisiana.
All right, we got Washington, Oregon State. Oregon State 2-point home favorites, 57.5 the total. I don't think it's an accident Oregon State's favored in this game. I see these programs as going in opposite directions. Washington down under the Jimmy Lake regime. Hasn't been the same since Peterson left. I don't trust their offense. Dylan Morris, it's still not a great offense. The only time they've had a good offensive game was Arkansas State's porous defense. They haven't had a good one outside of that. And I like the way this Oregon State team is improving. Jonathan Smith's done a hell of a job with this program. And they just didn't beat USC last week. They beat them up, beat them down last week. 3-1 now, 2-0 at home, 2-0 straight up and against the spread at home. They've already beaten USC. They beat up on Hawaii this year. I like what I'm seeing from this team, Oregon State. Their defense is improving, and they found something at quarterback because they started the year. They didn't start the year with who's starting at quarterback for them now, and that's Chance Nolan. He's been terrific. 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, only 4 games, already 847 passing yards and a 72% completion rate. Oregon State and Corvallis is never an easy team to beat, and I just think Washington's a little bit down and trending down, and Oregon State's the arrow's pointing up. So I understand why Oregon State's favored. For its Beavers or pass for me, I'd look at Oregon State on the money line here, minus 130. What do you think, Big Ragoo?
Yeah, I think early in the year we know Washington would have been the favorite in this game, but now we kind of see what the problems and issues that Washington's having. I think Oregon State's playing a lot better defensively. That was a big game against USC. I'm not the greatest Pac-12 guy in the world, but I like what's going on with this Oregon squad, and too many question marks on the Washington side. I think the right team's favorite, but I think it could be easily a field goal game, and you don't want to. You definitely don't want to be around that number. So probably the right plays like the way you're playing at the money line. Just lay the minus 130, 125, whatever you're going to get, and take the home team.
All right, DJ Big Boss.
Oh, that's an easy one right there. We're going under in this one right here. Both teams been trending towards the under. Washington's been getting really low numbers. The few times that they did go over, they went over against Cal. It was at a 47.5. So it was a low number anyway. I think the number we got today is up there a little bit that we can stay underneath the number for sure.
All right, liking the under in this one. All right, next up we've got this is a good one coming up here. Night game in the Bayou should be good. Auburn, LSU. Interesting game here. We've got LSU 2.5, 3-point home favorites, 56 the total. Who's going to be a quarterback here for Auburn? Brian Harsin hasn't said. It's either going to be Bo Nix or TJ Finley, who's an LSU transfer. So what an interesting dynamic that would be if TJ Finley's at quarterback for Auburn tonight. But it's Auburn on the road. I know Auburn played better against Penn State than I thought, but I don't know how good they are. I don't know if I trust either quarterback on the road. Auburn's offenses on the road have been sketchy lately, and LSU at home is still very tough, especially on a Saturday night when they play at home. It's a great atmosphere. Max Johnson, the quarterback's been fine. The defense has been a little leaky, but even with a defense that struggled at times, LSU, can Auburn take advantage of it? That's the question. The total's gone up, and look, we'll see. I lean LSU here, 3. The total's gone up probably 2 because, look, Auburn was on the field a lot defensively last week. Even LSU was. So I could see this game maybe just getting over that 56, but at this number, I would lean LSU. I don't love it, but I lean LSU. Night game only laying a field goal, and Auburn's offense on the road hasn't always traveled with them. Big Ragoo, what do you think, Auburn, LSU?
Death Valley, Auburn coming in off that tough game. I think they have had some defensive struggles, LSU, but I think their pass rush is still decent enough, and I think they can bring the pressure here. So definitely the Tigers are going to win this game, the LSU Tigers.
There you go. One of the Tigers has to win. Tigers.
That's right.
Yeah, someone has to win. Tigers versus Tigers. DJ, what do you think?
Hey, give me my ex-Boise State coach in Harsin and fade LSU, man. Orgeron got to go.
There you go. Like in Auburn here, +3 in this one. All right, we move on now. Next game on the slate. We've got, and it's an interesting game here. Next up, Old Dominion, UTEP. UTEP, 5.5-point home favorites, 48.5 the total. It's because both of these teams are improved, to be honest with you. Old Dominion only lost by 1 to Buffalo. They've actually covered some point spreads, and even UTEP beating New Mexico last week. They look improved as well. So it's two bet on teams maybe a little bit, and I'd rather not go against either one. I do think both offense, like Old Dominion's picked up the pace, running a lot of plays more than usual. I think that could carry over. And UTEP with Hardison at quarterback and a good run game. Old Dominion's defense still a little spotty. I think this game could go over 48.5. Pretty low total. And I'm still the jury out on both of these teams a little bit defensively. So give me the over here, Old Dominion and UTEP in this one. Big Ragoo, what do you like, Old Dominion, UTEP?
I think you hit it right on with both teams have been offensively pretty solid, but the Miners haven't put their offense hasn't translated to points necessarily like the higher scoring. I think this is the game where they can get over that hump and put points on the board. A blowout, not a blowout type of game, but a high scoring type of game. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I like the Miners and the over here.
All right. And UTEP mining for units. Big Ragoo mining for profits with UTEP tonight. Connor, did you have anything here? ODU and UTEP.
No, I don't. Old Dominion's played a little bit better, but man, it's a pass for me. I know UTEP's up to 5.5 now. I lean UTEP, but I don't love it.
All right, DJ Big Boss, Old Dominion, UTEP.
Well, this one kind of comes under one of my looks, fourth-year coach right here with UTEP, and I'm kind of fading OD. I'm fading teams that didn't play much in 2020, so I'm all the way on UTEP right here.
All right, I am going to group the last three games all together here. We'll hit them all at the same time. We got 3 games left. Arizona, all West Coast games. Arizona State, UCLA. UCLA 3-point home favorites, 56 the total. New Mexico State, San Jose State. San Jose State 25.5-point favorites at home, 51.5 the total. And Fresno State, Hawaii. Fresno 11-point road favorites, 64.5 the total. I like UCLA a little bit, -3 against Arizona State, because Arizona State lost to BYU. They haven't looked as impressive as I thought they would this year. UCLA, I know they lost to Fresno, had that loss, but they bounced back and beat Stanford last week. Now they're home. They haven't played at home since that loss to Fresno. I think DTR and that Bruins team, and again, you're only laying 3 here at home. I think the Bruins win. The other game, I lean New Mexico State, believe it or not. Crazy as it is to say, plus the points against San Jose State. It's a lot of points. You're seeing progress. Maldonado and Johnson, the 2 quarterbacks for New Mexico State, have actually been all right. They're still not great defensively, but that's a lot of points for San Jose State to be laying. They've looked kind of out of sorts the last couple of weeks, San Jose State. So I lean New Mexico State there, and I like the over in the Fresno-Hawaii game. So that's what I like in the last 3 games. Conor Mac, those last 3 games, what do you like?
Yeah, I lean over a little bit in the UCLA-Arizona State game, especially I think if you like UCLA, if they win, usually they're in the mid-30s or upper 30s there. I can't take Fresno State. I think they're better than last week, but, man, I tell you, nothing with Hawaii I want nothing to do, especially on that island right now. No way. I take the points with Hawaii or pass. And the last one was, San Jose cannot score. You talked about how bad the schedule was. They will be coming home, and they're rested. But 4 touchdowns man. I was looking at New Mexico State as well with the points. I haven't pulled the trigger, but I lean that way too.
Yeah, it's a lot of points to be landed. I think they finally got some offense, New Mexico State. Now, they're playing a very good defense here, San Jose, but the 2 quarterbacks,
yes,
Maldonado and Johnson, it's working for them. Big Ragoo, these last 3 games, UCLA, Fresno, and San Jose, what do you like?
I'll be in bed by the time they'll go off, but here's the place. I'm gonna lean to the over. I like the over in the UCLA game, Arizona State. I like Herm Daniels. I like what he does. They're quick. I think he's good enough to kind of keep it close, but I think they're both going to score points without a doubt in this spot. So I like the over in that game. No way San Jose lay that many points. And then give me the Bulldogs. Lean on the Bulldogs, laying the wood.
All right, great stuff. And DJ Big Boss, these last few games, we got some Mountain West action too. What do you like?
Okay, here we go. We're going to take UCLA because UCLA is a good team. They may climb up the charts some. They lost to a really good Fresno State well-coached team. So they've been doing their job so far. So I think they continue to do their job, and they walk away with the win this today. And then I also like I like San Jose State first quarter. Reason being is they coming off of this long 2-game road trip.
Yep.
They coming home. That place, those fans and stuff over there, they wild. They it's nothing to do in San Jose. So they wild out there. So they're gonna be all turned up for the beginning of the game. But I don't think that they could reach that full number anyway. So I think get in and get out with them. If your book lets you get first quarter, I think I seen it at 7. Go ahead and take them early. They're gonna get on the board. The worst can happen right there is that you get a push. But I like them right there. And then I'm going with the nice quarterback over here at Fresno State. Hawaii didn't show some bad spurts a whole bunch of time. That the island is kind of difficult, and it kind of gives them a slight advantage. But this Fresno State team, they've been on that island plenty of times, so they know what's going on over there. And that offense that Fresno State have is heavy. So I don't think that Hawaii's defense will be able to stop them for sure. But I'm not quite certain that Hawaii offense shows up and plays. That Cordero, he comes in some weeks and does a good job, and some weeks you'd be like, who is this guy right here? So I like Fresno State right there, San Jose State first quarter, and also like UCLA -3.
All right, there we go. Who can give you 3 hours of college football every game on the Saturday board breakdown and analysis like that? Unbelievable job. We will finally get the show wrapped up. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't already done that. Make sure you do that because we love doing this show every Saturday. We'll get to best bets in just a second, but first, sponsors, Manscaped Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke. Southtown 101, San Antonio. Manscaped, promo code PubSports. 20% off your purchase using that promo code Lawnmower 4.0 and any Manscaped product with the promo code PubSports. 20% off your purchase. And mybookie.ag. Promo code PubSports. Football season well underway. Hockey and basketball starting later this month. NHL, NBA, and college basketball next month. So make sure you sign up for an account. Mybookie.ag. Bitcoin accepted currency for your deposit. Mybookie.ag. Promo code PubSports. All right, guys. Best bet to wrap up the show. Now, Big Ragoo, we'll start with you. You gave Georgia Tech as your early best bet. So that's early. That game's underway still and in progress. Best bet for the rest of the card. What do you like there?
I'm going to take Sparty at the house. Late at 10.5. Michigan State -10.5.
You go, Michigan State, Sparty Party with Mel Tucker, -10.5 against Western Kentucky. Best bet for Big Ragoo. Conor Mac, best bet.
I got to do it with Skip. I got to take La Tech in the 19, even 18.5. I think they are close with NC State. And I'll have another. I'm on the over in that game as well. I think it gets over the 55.5. So kind of a double bet there in that game. The points and the over.
Over. I like the over too because I think the letdown and hangover for NC State could happen defensively for them. And Austin Kendall back at quarterback, and Louisiana Tech's got an offense with him under center. So La Tech plus the points, best bet for Conor Mac. DJ Big Boss, best bet.
Give me New Mexico plus the points.
All right, there you go. New Mexico. That's the Lobos, right? Sheriff Lobo. Okay,
yes,
that's New Mexico
Lobos,
plus the points against Air
11.5.
Best bet. Yep. Plus 11.5. Yep. New Mexico for a best bet for DJ Big Boss. And my best bet's going to be Eastern Michigan, which is a pick 'em now. I still like it at a pick 'em. I think they beat Northern Illinois. Eastern Michigan, pick 'em. Best bet for me for this Saturday college football card. And that'll wrap up this show. Another marathon edition in the books. We're back next Saturday. Make sure you tune in 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific once again for the Saturday morning college football kickoff show. right here on Pub Sports Radio. We got Sharpie's baseball video coming up on the channel. We've got UFC Live tonight. We've got NFL Pub Up with Jimmy the Bag tomorrow morning. So check all that out. For Big Ragoo, DJ Big Boss, Conor Mac, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you again next weekend right here on Pub Sports Radio for the Saturday College Football Kickoff.